not enter a plea. He didn't have a Florida-based attorney yet. The judge delaying arraignment until next week, but still setting terms for his release, including bond at $100,000. Trump denies telling anyone to delete Mar-a-Lago security tapes. He calls the case against him election interference and writes in a new social media post today he expects an indictment any day now in the special counsel's January 6th investigation, also suggesting it's an effort to cover up bad news coming from the president's camp. This as a Republican-led probe of Hunter Biden's business dealings continues, with his former business associate, Devon spending several hours behind closed doors with House investigators.
We are told there are new bank records to review today. They are from Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan. Fox also has text messages from Archer and Hunter Biden. Hunter tells Archer they will, quote, have the last laugh. The committee says it will release a transcript of the interview in 3 or 4 days.
Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. The president denies involvement in his son's business dealings. A presidential advisory panel says a law allowing warrantless surveillance of non-American.
Hello!
Hey there!
Happy Monday, last day of July. Today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, would you consider buying an electric vehicle? Yes or no? So drop a comment of your thoughts on this. I will be looking at them throughout the show, and then at 2:45 I will read your comments and give the final results to the question that's asking, would you consider buying an electric vehicle? Yes or no?
You know who's filling in today? Mike Elam.
Yay!
Look, he's a little bitty guy in the corner right there.
Yes.
Mike.
But listen anyway.
Mike, you don't have to tell us what your thoughts are. Do you have thoughts about electric vehicles?
I do.
Okay.
We
you
will
know who
hear
else
them.
does? Brad.
Yes. I have lots and lots of thoughts.
Probably more than me and Hannah. And Mike. Brad has the most thoughts, especially about why the news about Ford losing $4.5 billion is a little misleading on electric vehicles. Anyway.
All right.
Go ahead.
Here's what's lined up in the show. Of course, we have Wiggins America, and it's Monday, so...
Monday Roundup.
Monday Roundup. I always get confused whether it's Weekend Roundup or Monday Roundup.
I called it the Monday Roundup because I thought somebody somewhere had probably called something a Weekend Roundup, and I was like, you know what? I just want to make sure that
I'm different.
it's a little different. Yeah.
So...
He also wants to make it awkward for us.
Yeah.
Monday Roundup, 12:45. At 1:05, Steve Moore is going to join us. Not our boss, but instead the Distinguished Fellow in Economics at the Heritage Foundation. So he'll be talking economy, Bidenomics, all that jazz at 1:05. At 1:25, Matt Pauly, who's from our sister station KMOX, he is the host of Sports Open Line, will be joining us.
Cardinals made some trades this weekend.
Yep, at 1:25.
I know of 2. Were there more?
3.
3? Okay.
I know of none.
0.
None.
So it'll be new to you.
Yes.
That'll be news to me, too.
I will be learning some things at 1:25 with Matt Pauly. And then at 2:05, Dave Murray, the 97.1 chief meteorologist, will be with us to give us an update on this hot weather we're having.
And to talk about storms over the weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we seeing more of those, or does it just feel that way? Dave's probably got a good insight on that.
It's definitely more.
Yeah, Ryan knows.
What the heck, man?
Ryan, did your house flood?
No, but
good.
we got the straight line winds and trees down. I mean, it wasn't as bad as last time because the last one knocked everything down that was weak already.
Somehow my power didn't go
30
out,
seconds.
but everyone around me did.
All right, there you
big
go.
show.
We're getting ready to go.
Yay!
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Book instantly at an upfront price or request quotes from multiple pros. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, come on.
ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I know Annie is always good about telling everybody what's going on and making sure that everybody's up to date. But in case you didn't hear and you're thinking, man, Annie had a tough weekend. She must have smoked a lot and had some whiskey because her voice changed quite a bit. But nope, it's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie today. But unlike we have a quad box going on right now. If you go online and you check us out, Brad is here. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. Mr. Wiggins has made it.
Yeah, I'll be here the whole day with you.
You know, the last two times I've filled in, you've been on vacation. So it's extremely nice to see you. And it is always nice to see Hannah. How are you, ma'am?
Great. Thanks for having me in.
You know, some people come in and they just jump right in and start hitting the political issue of the day. I kind of need to have some coffee and wake up and get my day started, right? That's just kind of how I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's 12:07.
Yeah, let's
early, bright and early.
Speaking from a radio point of view, it was an analogy, not a literal thing.
Been up since the crack of noon.
I actually have been up since 5. So I don't know. I honestly think I had 5 cups of coffee before I left the house this morning.
Whoa.
I may have a caffeine problem. I'm not ready to admit that yet, but there may be something there.
Maybe.
So, Hannah, what'd you do this weekend that you can talk about on the radio without incriminating yourself?
Ooh, spent a lot of time with my friends. They are all home from school and from their abroad studies. So
I thought you said, never mind what I thought you said.
abroad studies.
Abroad.
And they are all home. So we spent some time together. Spent some time with family, of course. Had a nice, entertaining weekend for sure.
Mr. Wiggins.
We're trying to get ready for a yard sale.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
It's really hot.
Yeah.
And apparently no store has stickers.
Really?
Yeah. There's got to be some sort of run on stickers right now. This is the weird economy that we live in. Remember 2021?
Yeah.
You couldn't find certain syrups for your coffees.
Exactly.
It's just the weirdest
or
stuff
Lysol
that you can't find randomly. And it's got to be that everything since 2020 is just thrown off. And so my guess is that they prioritize certain items because they know they're low, and then other items kind of fall by the wayside. Right now, it's garage sale stickers.
So what did you do? I mean, I'm thinking crazy off the wall stuff like, pieces of paper and Scotch tape. But that's just me. I'm a crazy,
You're not that crazy. That's what my mom does.
There you go.
Post-it notes?
That's what they said. That the lady at Dollar Tree goes, nah, people just be using Post-it notes. I'm like, I'm not putting Post-it notes all over these things. They don't stick that well, especially to clothes. So what I did was I found some tape that my daughter had that's like art tape.
Okay.
That you can write on, and I've been using that. It's not as good, but it's there, so
now,
it works.
I don't know anything about your house, but I'm curious. Do you have a garage?
Yeah.
Is your garage just full of crap that you're getting ready to haul out to the driveway for no apparent reason?
It's getting very full.
There you go. Do you have a basement?
Yes.
No, you've had water issues, though. You probably don't have a lot of stuff still in your basement.
No, we have a finished basement, and that's why the water was a problem.
Oh, okay. So I've had the exact same problem no less than 3 times. And big thanks to my friends at Sam's Carpet, who it's bad when the workers know you by name. Not the guy who owns the place that I'm a friend with. No. His workers. Wow, Mr. Elam, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through this again. Yeah, I know, Jake, it sucks, but it's good to see you again. Hope the family's well and putting your kids through college. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
We'll see how that goes. Brad.
Yeah.
What happened at the range this weekend?
Well, we took the youth group to Raging Rivers yesterday.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
Wave pools give me anxiety. What can I say?
Really?
I do not like wave pools, especially the one at Raging Rivers. I've told this story before, but the last time prior to yesterday that I was at Raging Rivers, I actually had to pull somebody out of the wave pool.
Oh.
Actually, it was 2 little kids. The one girl was trying to climb on her friend to get above the water. It was one of those panic situations.
Right.
And I just happened to be there, so I grabbed them both out of the water. But wave pools give me anxiety, and then they're like, we should go to a water park. I'm going, but it turned out great. It was fine. Nobody drowned. We did lose some glasses, but that's okay. You know, I'd rather lose glasses than a kid.
That's why you always take the $5 glasses to stuff like that. That way, if you lose it, you go, I didn't really care.
And they got a great big new slide called the Mississippi Monster, and it's a lot of fun to go down as well.
Really?
Is that the one with the big tanks that you kind of go through? Yeah, that was new to me too. I hadn't ridden that one. The one that is my favorite, though, my favorite water slide ever is there, and I can't remember the name of it. It's the one that is built into the hill.
Oh,
where you go down, hit a pool, and you go down and hit a pool.
Yeah, it's closed.
It was closed. Yeah, it was closed.
I was like, this is a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm feeling there's a design flaw here if it's always closed.
Well, the guy told me, it'll be open by probably next weekend.
Sure,
And that was a month ago. That's why I wanted to ask live on the air, Brad.
Not yet.
Is it open yet?
Is it open yet? Not so much. We still haven't made it there yet, but we're getting there.
But yeah, we had a lot of fun and no sunburns, and that was good. At least I didn't get sunburnt.
So I've been to the big wave pool at Six Flags.
Yeah.
And on a really hot day, I went in that once, and I came back to my wife and I said, how do you feel about this? She goes, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever been in.
A lot of
in
people
my
don't
life.
like that.
It's a little warm.
It's a bathtub. I mean, you have literally hundreds, if not a few thousand people when the wave hits and it starts happening. You have all these people who've been sitting on the side just sweating, right? Or running around the theme park, just sweating. And then they show up. Does anybody rinse off before they go jump into that?
Not a chance.
No. That's why they're there, right? That is the rinse off. No,
I don't like to think of it like that.
So you go jump in and you're just there with everybody else's sweat. And I'm thinking, all right, I know any swimming pool is really that. It is, right? I get it. Which is why the ocean doesn't bother me nearly as much, because you have that water ebbing and flowing, and, I'm swimming with fishes anyway. So it's my expectation of clean is different in the ocean and the river, for that matter. But when you're going to be in that pool, it's just like, and especially with as hot as it has been, the water temperature is bathtub water anyway. I was talking to a friend the other day who has this really nice in-ground pool, and she said, it was so hot, and I was excited about hitting the pool, and I jumped in, and at first, I thought, well, it feels good compared to the air temperature that we were in, and then I was like, it is not cool. I am sweating in a pool. That is wrong. So she ended up just going inside in the air conditioning. It was like, So I'm with you on the wave pool, just completely different reason. Yeah. It's just disgusting. We actually went to dinner with some friends on Saturday night, which was wonderful. Didn't do much of anything, I guess, beyond that. Sunday, I meant to go to the Korean War Veteran Tribute event that was happening at the Veterans Tribute Museum in O'Fallon, Missouri. But we got busy with some other stuff, and I got behind, and I didn't get a chance to make it to that. So I hope that was great. And for all the Korean War vets that are there, thank you for your service, and we appreciate you very much. And if you haven't been to the Veterans Museum at O'Fallon, go check it out. It's a really cool place, great stories, and you can learn a lot about some really good people. The other thing that happened, I guess it was Thursday, Beetle Bob passed away. How many of you know who Beetle Bob is?
I do, but I don't know a lot about him.
Okay.
I remember him from probably a decade or so ago.
Okay.
But that's it. It stops there.
Brad, any?
Radio? Was he in the radio business?
He wasn't. Hannah, any idea?
I recognized, I saw things online after he passed, and I recognized his dancing.
Yeah. So his dancing was kind of Elaine Bennis type dancing from Seinfeld, right? He's not known to be a competitive dancing champion. Not going to be that. But he really got to be famous for being a guy who shows up at concerts. That's really what he is. He attended almost 10,000 concerts in the St. Louis area over the years. And evidently the story of Beatle Bob goes back to the fact of he was reading a Beatles magazine when he was in elementary school. The teacher took it away from him and said, you can't have that here, Beatle Bob. And because of his Beatles-style haircut. So he kept that haircut his entire life. He evidently had ALS, and I didn't know that he had ALS. I hadn't seen him in some concerts in a while. It's probably been a year or more since I've seen him at a concert, but he still had that whole Beatles-looking haircut from the 60s. He always wore a jacket when he went to every show. He would make his way to the front of the show, and he would dance. He wasn't always careful about who was around him, so some people have some negative Beatle Bob kick me stories, but you know.
Do you know that did he go to mostly name shows, or would he just go to any show all the time?
He went to all kinds of shows.
Okay.
And he would talk about the fact that he didn't count it a concert if you went to a bar and saw a band. It had to be multi people who were there, like multi-acts. So let's say you had 3 acts on a bill. You had to watch at least 2 of them and half of the third for it to count. So, oh my gosh, did that just happen?
Yeah, we're all seeing it live here.
So we're talking about Beatle Bob passing away. Pee Wee Herman has died. Both of them 70 years old. Beatle Bob was 70. Pee Wee Herman is 70.
We just had an X's and O's
I was going to
question.
say, do you guys remember I had a question about him on
the theme
on Friday? Using
you played
the,
the theme song.
Using the Pee Wee Herman theme song that nobody knew, except for maybe Brad. And
I knew that answer. I was driving in to do Reardon Show, and I was listening to you. Because I'm thinking, you only have an hour, and that's an awful lot of squares.
Yeah.
How are you going to get through that?
16
And you played
squares.
You played the song. So Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, dead at age 70.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that he was 70 years old.
Me either.
And B, the reason that I gave that question on Friday was because this was the 32nd anniversary, or last week was, of his fall from grace.
His theater incident.
Which I won't go into detail just in case we have any younger ears, but I think
Let's
everybody
just say
who was,
he loved himself in a lot of ways.
Everybody who was alive in 1991, I think it would have been then.
That would work by math.
Remembers exactly what that was.
That's right.
Because I mean, I was 10 and I didn't know really what was going on other than, oh, he did something bad and I'm not supposed to know about it, but I think I kind of get it.
Yes. Well, and so did he. Pee Wee's Playhouse was a big thing. I mean, it was before I had kids, so it was a big thing back in the day. And he had all that going on, and Pee Wee's Big Adventure and Pee Wee's Big Top and the movies that he had. They're just, he's such a weird character, right? Just like, okay, I don't know how you came up with that. He was in, wasn't he in Cheech and Chong's, one of those movies, and like, Mr. Lizard want a hamburger?
I don't know, but I can tell you the origins of Pee Wee Herman and Pee Wee's Playhouse was it was intended for adult audiences.
The humor was there.
And it was not a kids show. And they would do a live stage show where he came up with this character who was a fake kids host.
It makes a lot more sense when you put it that way.
All of the characters on his stage show were also kids performers, but they were doing really bawdy adult humor on the stage.
Gotcha.
And somebody saw it and goes, why don't we make an actual kids show out of it? And that's how Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse happened.
I did not know that until right now.
Yeah.
He was also the spleen in Mystery Men. I don't know if you remember that movie
I do.
or not, but yeah, he played the spleen.
His career died and then reemerged.
A little bit.
You know, he had that cult following that people were always, you know, it's Pee Wee. And a lot of people remembered Pee Wee from their childhood. So it was a special type of bond, although as dysfunctional as it may have been.
It was.
I didn't know the show Pee Wee's Playhouse, but I've heard of Pee Wee Herman quite often, and I'm 21 years old. So his career really did make an impact and channeled out over many years.
There were 2 or 3 Pee Wee movies.
Yes.
I know there were the first 2, but
there
I
was
think
Pee Wee's
they did
Big
a newer
Adventure,
one.
Pee Wee's Big Top, and I can't remember what else other movie that he had, but I know there were at least those 2.
That came out in, I think, 2016. It was a Pee Wee like reboot.
Right. So everybody, not everybody, a lot of people kind of got back into Pee-wee from a nostalgic standpoint of, he was part of my childhood growing up. He went away for doing some awkward things. And then people started getting back into, there's a lot of forgiveness as people age out, right? The older you get, people can have historically inaccurate memories that become fond. That's a nice way to say it, I think.
Pee-wee's Big Holiday.
Pee-wee's Big Holiday.
2016. I do remember watching it. I don't remember a thing about it.
I don't remember that one at all, but in case you're just tuning in, you haven't heard Pee Wee Herman. Paul Rubens passed away at the age of 70. Lost Beetle Bob on Thursday last week, also age 70. I'm not trying to put this out in the universe, but they say it happens in threes. So we're going to lose someone else this week, and we're sorry for your loss.
Ahead of time.
Yes. What was that joke of Hillary Clinton was saying, I was really sorry to hear about his suicide, and they're like, shh, that's tomorrow. So I'm Mike Elam sitting in for Annie today on the Annie Frey Show. We've got Wiggins America coming up later on this hour with the Monday Roundup. I'm dying to hear part of why is it called the Monday Roundup, but we'll get to that and a lot more. Brad, Hannah, Wiggins all here with Mike. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday, and we will roll on in St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
'Cause you're a sky, 'cause you're a sky.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care.
Ruler Foods is giving back to local communities, and I'm hoping that you'll help me help them be successful in this. They are hydrating their heroes, your local heroes, your first responders, firefighters, and policemen who are out working in this crazy, insane heat. Yes, we're used to it in St. Louis, but a lot of us spend that time inside. We make sure that we stay inside in the air conditioning while it is blistering heat outside. You don't get to do that if you're somebody who has to answer the call of duty. And we know that our police officers, our firefighters, our first responders are out there working hard in this heat. So here's how you can help. Ruler Foods has put a bunch of different hydration products on sale, which means when you go to rulerfoods.com, you're going to be able to access these sales. When you go into the Ruler Foods closest to you, you're going to be able to pick up maybe a Kroger 24-pack of water for $2.99, do your grocery shopping, and leave that water behind, and Ruler Foods is going to get it to your local heroes. Hydrate your heroes with Ruler Foods. Go online to rulerfoods.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because ideas change the world. St. Louis is home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
In New Orleans, they call the rising sun.
It is the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today. If you didn't hear, Paul Rubens passed away. Pee Wee Herman is no longer with us. And DIY entomologist, is that who posted that? This is Pee Wee was, I'm going to guess and say her first big crush, but I don't know. Not trying to judge. So, gee, I'm strange that way. It's like, hey, you said it, not me.
I just put it up on the screen.
I didn't say that. So, do you guys watch the Sunday talk shows at all?
We always catch up with the Sunday talk shows on Monday.
Okay.
But I don't know that any of us actively watch them.
So I normally go back through and watch the Sunday talk shows. And I'm always amazed lately. I shouldn't say always, but I'm amazed a lot lately talking about the Republican presidential race and what's going on with the presidential race. Obviously, if you look at all the polls that are going on right now, Trump is running away with this whole thing. And I think DeSantis in most of the polls is still in second place. Mm-hmm. In a bunch of the others, they're all just clumped together after that. It's like Trump has got 50+%. DeSantis is anywhere from 14 to 20, and then everybody else is pretty much in single digits, especially if you look at national polls. When you do national polls, that's how it kind of breaks out. Now, it doesn't really matter. Will Hurd the other day came out in Iowa, I think it was, where they had the presidential speed dating of they each got 10 minutes to make their case. And he came out and said, Donald Trump is not running for president. He's running to stay out of jail. And almost got booed off the stage. Go figure. That is a very pro-Trump crowd. Mm-hmm. But when you look at this, just focus on the Republican side for a second. When you look at this, do you see anybody else winning this primary as it sits right here today on the 31st of July?
So I can tell you when we discuss this issue, my answer is always no. I don't see anybody else winning the primary. I think Trump is a shoo-in. However, I am usually among the minority because I think, Brad, you do see that somebody else could win.
I could see somebody else could win, but whenever you put it with the modifier as it sits today, there's nobody else that's leading or leading by enough that there's no real credible threat to Trump right now.
So the example I gave, so I was filling on Reardon's show last week a couple of times. I'm starting to feel like a real employee here lately. Yeah. I mean, I've been here enough lately. I'm starting to feel like I actually work here. I don't just...
It's summer. We'll see you again at Christmas.
Exactly. You'll come in, you'll be doing the holidays when all you guys are home with your families, and I get up at 4 in the morning to come do Mark Cox's show or something. But that just made me lose my thought. Thanks for doing that. But when I was sitting and watching all this, and the analogy that came to mind was when Tiger Woods' health started deteriorating, and everybody, golf tournaments were all about Tiger. And at the time, I was in television advertising, and you wanted Tiger to play. Because if Tiger played, the ratings were good. If Tiger didn't play, the ratings were horrible. And what it became was whoever was at the top of the leaderboard at the time, one of the first questions they would ask them is not, how do you feel that you're doing? What made your game so good? How do you feel you're going to do for the rest of the weekend? It was, so how do you feel about Tiger struggling so much? And when I'm watching these interviews that they have, it doesn't matter what Republican presidential candidate it is. They always ask him, so how do you feel about the Donald Trump situation? And I'm thinking, this reminds me of the 2016 race with Trump against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton raised a whole lot more money than Donald Trump, but he didn't need it because he was on television, radio, podcast, wherever. It was always, that old joke, enough about me, let's talk about you. How do you feel about me? That's exactly what all of these interviews play out to be. And they cannot talk with any individual candidate without bringing it back to Trump. Now, on one hand, I completely understand. Mm-hmm. He is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And in my lifetime, we haven't had a former president run for re-election after losing, right? So we're in uncharted territory for most of us, and unless you're 150 years old, and you remember that happening, which Joe Biden is. So, he remembers when that happened. He just joined the Senate, I think, when that happened. But it's the situation that we're kind of in right now, where if I was Trump, I wouldn't go to that first debate. I'd sit on the sidelines. All these other presidential candidates are going after DeSantis. And I keep shaking my head and saying, so are you all just playing for VP? Like, is that where you are? Because for whatever reason, with the Republican base, Trump can do no wrong. And all of these lawsuits, and it doesn't matter how many there are, the more he gets sued, the more charges that he has thrown against him, the higher his poll numbers go. Because people just, they don't believe that it's legit or whatever, right? And some of them for sure are not. That whole New York thing that started it all, complete garbage, right? These others are a lot more serious. And when you start listening to the legal pontificators that are on there who actually know what they're talking about, and not the people who don't have a law degree who you see on the internet all the time. These people talk about how this is some serious trouble for him. And we could very well be in a situation where we put a nominee out who could have jail time. I mean, could literally be convicted of something. It could be on appeal by them, but whether it's the D.C., whether it's Georgia, I think we still have Arizona that's pending, right? And we have the Florida charges.
Pending for what?
Well, in Arizona, they haven't actually charged him yet with anything, but they're talking about could be more charges coming from the Arizona.
Oh, I haven't heard Arizona.
Oh,
that's news to me.
Maybe
I'm just
I could have dreamed
Georgia.
that up. That they're all running together for me. It's possible.
There's a whole what is it? The alternate electors thing is one of the things that they're going at, and I think Arizona is one of the states that had alternate electors. So maybe that's where you're grabbing that from.
It could be, but I mean, as I look at all this stuff, I'm thinking. I don't see the Republican electorate, as it sits right now, willing to put anybody else out there. And they're going to say, I'm going to live and die with Donald Trump. And I think all these other people are saying, I'm not going after Trump because I can't turn his people. But if I get DeSantis down and I can get to second place, then I'm going to pray to God that something happens that gets Trump out of this election, and then I'm the guy. And they're not playing King of the Hill.
No, that's the strategy.
Plateau
you just said what it was, because in 2016 it was very similar. And actually in 2016, Trump had, I think, less percentage than he does now.
He did. But it was a different dynamic.
Completely different. Yeah. The world didn't know who he was yet.
Right.
He was fresh.
People didn't take him seriously.
That was back when people would say, you know what we need in the office is not a politician. We need a businessman.
Right. That's how we ended up with Eric Crichton,
everybody
too.
goes,
We didn't want a politician.
Ooh.
I know.
Well, not everybody. Some people.
I think there were a lot of people that liked what he did.
I loved what he did.
I think all of the Republicans like what Trump did. They didn't necessarily, if there's a criticism that you generally hear from Trump, it's not about his policies at all. Everybody agrees on his policies, which is what makes it tough for all these guys to criticize him, because they're like, well, what would you do? Well, I'd do everything that Trump did without the tweeting.
Yeah, they're basically forced to make personal attacks against him.
They are.
Because I can't really criticize his policies, but I don't like him. He makes me feel bad. How does he make you feel?
Right.
You know, like, okay, thank you. But I think the strategy is similar to 2016 for the candidates who are at least vying for second.
Right.
Because it was Rubio Cruz in 2016, and then Rubio dropped out. Mathematically, he couldn't get it by the time he got to Illinois anyway.
Right.
He couldn't have gotten it. So Cruz was literally the only other option, and then it didn't work. So I think they're all hoping to be the other option. Whatever that is, if it's not going to be DeSantis, it's going to be me. And so if we can just galvanize enough electors from the people who don't want Trump, that's their strategy.
And I understand that from a standpoint of you're looking at the mountain, and unless something drastically changes, Trump is going to be the king of the mountain. And I just don't see any way, unless something drastically happens to change this, I don't see any way that Trump loses this nomination, right? From that standpoint. Mike Pence is the one that makes me shake my head the most. When I look at Mike Pence, he's not a dumb guy at all, right? And he's experienced in politics very much. He's been a governor. I mean, he knows how this works. You were the vice president with Trump. There is absolutely nothing that you can take credit for outside of Trump. Everything that you're going to use to build your resume, Donald Trump was the guy sitting in the chair. You were sitting next to him, but you don't get that. Mm-hmm. The only thing that you get credit for is being the guy who turned his back on Trump at the last minute when a lot of Trump supporters feel like you were his last hope and you abandoned him. So he is the number one. I just saw this poll last week. He is the number one most hated Republican primary presidential candidate that we have. Because if you're part of that 35% of the Republican electorate who is all into Trump, you hate Mike Pence. And it puts him at a whole other level of, what the hell are you doing here? And he still, the last I heard, he still has not gotten enough donations to put him on the stage for the debate.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, he doesn't have the...
He doesn't have the 40,000 individual donations. You have to have 40,000 individual donations. When you look at it, it's two-pronged, right? You have to have the numbers and you have to have the donations. He's got the numbers. The numbers put him in there. A lot of people who liked Trump's policies, hated Trump's personality, look at Mike Pence and you go, you're everything I ever wanted that wasn't Donald Trump. That's a small percentage. Right?
Yeah, that's a small percentage. It's like 4%.
It's not, well, and I think he's actually at 3.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not a good path there.
Yeah, we don't talk about that much, but it is a weird thing to do. You'd think that either he's just running to make money, which apparently he's not doing great at, or he's running as the anti-Trump candidate, which he's not really doing.
Right. And he doesn't have the personality to be able to do a Chris Christie or a Mike Huckabee, right? So Mike Huckabee has made a career on, I ran for president, right?
Yeah, I was likable.
That's it. He was the Arkansas governor. He did a good job as governor. I mean, I'm from Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Everybody I grew up with down there who's still down there, they liked Mike Huckabee. He was really, which is why his daughter is now the governor, right? Sarah Huckabee Sanders, very likable. Mike Huckabee, very likable. Ran for president. Everybody really liked him. I think he actually won the Iowa caucuses when he ran. But he has turned that into making a lot of money on television, just giving his opinion. I want that job, by the way. I kind of have that job, I guess, right now.
Minus the money.
It's where I'm here. Yeah, I'm not getting that big Fox money, although I have the voice for radio. Unfortunately, I have the face to go
All you
along
gotta
with
do
it.
is run for president.
And I haven't done that yet. Maybe I'll throw my hat in the ring for that. Yeah. Hey, it's not till next year. I still got time.
Work your way up. You got plenty of time. Start with city council.
Start with
county council.
I'll start with city council. Maybe I'll make it to mayor. Then I'll get to county council. Then maybe county executive, and then
Fox.
Then Fox. Exactly. All I need is Bill Himmer to interview me once. Like Chris Christie. No one believes that Chris Christie has a snowball's chance in Hades of winning this. No one believes that. I don't even think Chris Christie believes that.
No.
Right?
No, he is just an anti-Donald Trump missile.
That's all he's there for. He is just there to just launch bullets at him. And he's doing a great job. But he's made a lot of money on MSNBC for that. Do you hear that music?
I do.
It's coming from you, by the way.
Is it coming from me?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's it. I was like, what is this?
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm like, and who is ZAYN and why are they on my phone?
Well, I mean, you clicked on the wrong sites.
What's funny is my phone was just sitting here and it went up. By the way, they're always listening.
Always.
Always. Have you? So we're going to get to Wiggins America right after this, but before we leave, because this just happened, I have noticed I have an Apple Watch. Okay. I don't know why lately, but my Apple Watch is really getting pushy into my conversations. Time and time again, I'm talking to somebody, and all of a sudden I get this, I couldn't understand what you were saying. When you're a guy who works in radio, it's offensive that you couldn't understand what I was saying. I think I enunciate pretty darn well. Done voiceover work for a long time. That's how we met. I'm offended that you can't understand what I said. That bothers me. The second part is, why are you listening that closely? And why do you keep chiming into my conversations? So it gets to the AI conversation I want to have later on today because it's creeping more and more and more into our life. So park that for a second. We'll come back to that thought in a little bit. We're going to come back and we're going to do the Monday Roundup with Wiggins America on the other side. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today on the Annie Frey Show, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki created Neovitin 15 years ago to help support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Since then, Neovite has helped thousands of people support their daily nutrition with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend. If you're ready to join many St. Louisans in supporting their nutrition, give Neovite a try. You can find Neovite at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovite.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. This summer, try some eco-friendly water sports like paddleboarding, swimming, or diving. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Wiggins America Monday Roundup coming up next, followed by Stephen Moore at 1:05. Distinguished fellow in economics, can talk about what the prospects for the next 12 months looks like. And then Matt Pauly with all these trades at the trade deadline at 1:25. So stick around. A lot coming up on the show. It's 1:24. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Are we one of your top presets?
You were giving off that vibe, so if you want to take it to that level.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
I was rolling wheels and shifting gears around that Jersey turnpike. Barney stopped me with his gun 10 minutes after midnight. Said, sir, you broke the limit in his rusty old truck. I don't know about that accent.
This
son.
is the Annie Frey Show.
From? I said, where I come from, it's cornbread and chicken. Where I come from,
Wiggins. I'm a little offended that when people talk about cornbread and chicken, they talk about it like you have to live in a rural environment to eat it.
I'm from a rural environment, and I did.
I'm not saying you can't.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying you can have cornbread and chicken whether you're in the suburbs or whether you're in an urban environment like we're in now.
But it's funny, you don't really hear anybody talk about cornbread and chicken unless you're an Alan Jackson kind of song.
And that, I want to change that.
Is it,
okay.
I want to change that today.
Does it have to be rural, or could it just be Southern?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you could be urban Southern and still be singing about that. But I think it's a country thing. I think it's country.
It's country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Small town.
Well, anyway, the weekend roundup is not that. I've got better stories and more interesting ones. In fact, we'll start. Yeah. There. I just played it and Brad didn't have it up. So
Not where I was starting. But now that we're here.
There you go.
Ouch.
So McDonald's is expected to start opening a new chain of restaurants.
What?
Called Cosmix. So it's not even that they're opening like some other restaurant that you wouldn't know that McDonald's is associated with. It's a different type of McDonald's called Cosmix. And they're starting early next year. And they're just some test markets. Don't know if we're going to be one of them or not. But they are, in their words, a small handful of sites in limited geography with format concept. That's all they say.
Format concept?
Format concept being that it's space themed and they involve one, like, I don't remember this character, but they said it's one of the characters like the Grimace and the Hamburglar that was an alien. Do you remember that?
No.
I don't really either.
I don't either.
But they said they're going to take that character and start making new restaurants, at least to see if they fly, called Cosmix. No idea how they're going to be different than McDonald's.
So this is why the McRib's not coming back, because it's an out-of-this-world piece of meat-like substance, and it's going to be served there full-time.
It is purely a McRib restaurant.
That's it.
That's all they're going to serve.
That's it.
Cosmix.
Yeah, because they want to keep the line moving.
Barbecue sauce, onions, pickles, and ribs.
That's all they're saying, though. But I just found it
there's
fascinating.
nothing about what the menu's going to be.
No.
Okay.
It just says that it's a small format concept.
All right.
With all the DNA of McDonald's, but with its own unique personality. So I really don't know if there is going to be a menu change. It could be the same menu, but just presented differently. You know, I'm thinking it's going to be something, and I'm just spitballing here.
Sure.
Something like that McDonald's attached to gas stations. Like they might rebrand something with Cosmix.
Or
I don't know.
if you're in a food court or somewhere like that, if you're not a standalone and you're mixed into
maybe
a larger group.
I was thinking maybe it'd be some sort of like walk-up kiosk type deal.
The only hint they've given is that they said where McDonald's are now represents the geography of the country from 20, 30 years ago. So we've got to update where McDonald's are, and I think this is the way they're going to do that.
Is there a community that doesn't have a
vending
McDonald's?
machine.
Yeah, you're right.
This is the McDonald's that's going in Walmart. It's going to be...
Oh, wow. It's a new thing. It's got an alien.
I've never seen this before.
Wow, a quarter pounder, but it's an alien box.
They'll call it something else.
Amazing. It's where I am.
It won't be a quarter pounder. It'll be metric.
Exactly.
Moving on.
The last word on that one. A new reactor at a nuclear power plant in Georgia has entered commercial operation.
Hey!
I think we could probably applaud this.
Yes.
This is good news. It is the first American reactor built from scratch in decades. It doesn't say in the article, but the last I read, it had been since the early 70s since a new reactor had gone online in the United States. And the reason for that is probably Chernobyl.
Who's building this one?
Let's see. Plant Vogtle.
Okay.
Georgia Power Company and Plant Vogtle.
Plant Vogtle. That's one of the things they're serving at that McDonald's restaurant.
Yeah, Plant Vogtle. It's impossible, but that it exists.
It's a favorite with aliens everywhere.
Yeah, it's southeast of Augusta, and they're already using it. So it started, I guess, this weekend, and they are building a fourth as well there. This is all very good news because nuclear power is not only super clean,
Right.
so I don't know why the environmentalists are always up in arms about nuclear power. They actually aren't. They just don't want to talk about it. But it's like people are afraid of it.
It's the whole, like, what do we do with the nuclear waste that comes after nuclear?
I honestly think that people saw on The Simpsons them dumping nuclear waste into a river in 1993 episode Random. And then they go, well, that's got to be what's happening.
It was like that, and then the whole 3 Mile Island and
Chernobyl.
And
well, yeah, it leaves a bitter taste in the
water,
psychology of people, of general public. But once you look at the facts about it, it's one of the best energy sources that we have.
It really is.
So
and they've solved the waste issue.
Yes.
One of the things I've never really understood about energy in general, and you've had the oil companies have been making billions, and I'm thinking, why didn't you spend $2 billion to go build a new gasoline processing plant, right? Because you've got the oil, but we haven't built a new refinery.
Yeah.
We haven't built a new refinery since the 80s either. And there's so many different ways, so many different things that you could do with that. So you could refine the oil with so many different things. And they said it would cost about $2 billion to build a new one. Well, that's a quarter of 1 quarter's profits.
Oh, yeah.
So go build it, and you're going to make a whole lot more because you're going to be so much more energy efficient.
I have good news for you.
Yay!
This is my transition into that good news.
But wait, there's more.
The guy from Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary,
Yes.
he's doing it.
Yep.
Isn't he Mr. Wonderful?
Yes.
Is that it? Is that it?
Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, he's been out there saying this for a couple months now that he has fought. Well, one of the things he's saying is that I'm done trying to fight California to build business.
Right.
Because they and basically blue states, although I don't know he put it that way. He said these people have overregulated anything that wants to be built.
They have.
To the point that you can't build there.
No.
And Elon Musk has said the same thing. He said,
Yeah, that's
why
why
we're
he's
not in
in
California,
Texas.
there's so many regulations that if you want to be innovative and you're not in software, they have put so many limitations on building buildings and new infrastructure on anything that you can't really build anything in California anymore.
Especially if you want to build anything energy efficient other than windmills and solar panels.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it is that if you want to build in California, the only way to make it profitable now is to get government subsidies.
Yes.
I mean, that's what socialism looks like. And so they're all moving out. Kevin O'Leary is one of them. He says, I can't remember if he said Texas. I think he did. That's where he's going to look at building new refineries because it's been so long. He said, it's a gold mine. There's nobody doing it.
Right.
And because everybody's afraid to do it. So it's going to take somebody with a lot of money, first of all, and a lot of influence, which he has, to do it. So he said, that's where I'm stepping into. So all good news.
Good for Mr. Wonderful.
As Alaska prepares for the upcoming frigid weather, the mayor of Anchorage has one idea: how to keep unhoused people off the streets. I want to come back to that word in a second. Mayor Dave Bronson said during a press conference that he wants to send those without shelter to L.A. Really? And other warm cities. What's funny is that he's not doing this to be comedic or any sort of backbiting.
Right.
He's just saying, you know what I think the most benevolent thing we could do for these people is we just send them away.
Send them in an
Just
environment
put them
where
into a better climate.
That's right. They won't die.
That's what he's saying. And before I move on from this story, is anybody okay with the word unhoused?
No.
Homeless isn't offending anyone.
Well, I would think the only people who would be offended are the people who are. Just going to say,
why
they're
are
probably
we
not
changing
listening
homeless?
to the news,
Yeah,
right?
What is it about that word that you're like, oh, no.
Ryan, I identified as unhoused.
Unhoused.
Please refer to me that way
Come
moving forward.
on.
Yes.
But the article is using the word unhoused to, I guess, change the way you think about homeless people or the way homeless people think about themselves?
Did we need to change that?
What are all the different names that we've had for homeless people?
You only have 30 seconds.
I don't know. Tell me.
You're talking about like bums and vagabonds and
homeless is the nice one.
You're right, but because it's describing homeless people, now that's offensive too.
Yeah.
Because we use it
They're
as
not
a derog-
illegal immigrants.
It's
They
just
are
because-
undocumented peoples.
Everything is like that.
We're going to talk to Stephen Moore on the other side. That was Wiggins America. We've got to catch up with more of that later. It's 97.1 FM Talk.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed early bird specials at $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. That's right. Seminar Saturday, August 5th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Or Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Behind
Behind closed doors on Capitol Hill, I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. House investigators spending several hours with a key witness in their probe of the president's son.
Former Hunter Biden business associate Devon did not take questions from the media before entering a closed-door meeting with members of Congress.
I believe he can tell us things that we haven't heard before.
Republican Congressman Andy Biggs is hoping to hear about meetings or phone calls he had with President Joe Biden related to potential business deals. But in terms of finding any wrongdoing, Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman says the GOP has a long way to go.
The Republicans have shown no evidence at all.
The Republican-led Oversight Committee is investigating whether President Biden participated in an alleged bribery scheme while he was vice president.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill, the president denying any involvement in his son's business dealings. Arraignment day delayed for a Trump staffer accused of trying to delete security footage at Mar-a-Lago. Carlos de Oliveira doesn't have a Florida-based attorney yet, so the judge postponing a plea being entered until next week. An updated indictment in the special counsel's classified documents case also adds more counts against the former president, accused of ordering footage to be deleted, which Trump denies, calling the case election interference. The actor, best known as Pee Wee Herman, has died.
Oh, hi, boys and girls. I'm going to play with my new toy.
Paul Rubens' creation went from stage act to the big screen and TV shows, including Pee-wee's Playhouse. His publicist just confirming that Rubens died last night after a 6-year struggle with cancer. A statement from Rubens apologizes for not going public with it. The comedian offers love to friends, fans, and supporters and says he enjoyed making art for them. Paul Rubens was 70. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms: irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
At SimpliSafe, we've designed award-winning home security with advanced sensors, HD cameras, and now this, 24/7 LiveGuard protection, only from SimpliSafe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Temperature's pretty easy to take going through our Monday afternoon. Partly sunny skies. We'll watch for a couple of spot storms. 88 for the high. Tonight, clouds dominate. A batch of thunderstorms after midnight. Scattered variety. 68. Tuesday, changeable sky with a mix of clouds and sunshine. There will be some scattered storms, and it's kind of a cool day on Tuesday. Coolest of the week with a high of 82. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Shows that make a difference. Mark Cox, Brian Kilmeade, Annie Frey, Mark Reardon and Dana Lash, Heidi Harris, Wiggins America. Where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all of the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie Siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections? facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. Not all law firms are created equal. Don't risk your future with just any firm. See how Onder Law is different.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000 to learn more.
Mark Reardon sees clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Maholtred Ophthalmology Associates. You can too. Go to youridoc.com today. That's youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Happy Monday, everybody. Hope your Monday is going well. If you haven't heard, we lost Pee Wee Herman today. Can't believe, more than I'm surprised that Pee Wee died, I'm surprised that Pee Wee was 70. I did not.
Me too.
Didn't see that. He just didn't age. You know, you got to love that.
Private battle with cancer.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him in a while, so I guess that kind of makes sense. So rest in peace, Pee Wee. You will be missed by someone, I know. Did you notice that the economy is getting a whole lot better? Did you notice that?
Well, Bidenomics
I'm still
would
looking
suggest
for it.
that it is. I mean, the terms, it's been coined, so it must be getting better.
If you haven't noticed that, it's okay, because no one else has either. As a matter of fact, Ron DeSantis was just talking about that.
I think the biggest drag on the economy is the administrative state and the bureaucracy. And yes, I mean, I want lower taxes. I'll go as far as we can on that.
Right.
But when I talk to small business people, I almost never hear about that. I hear about the growth of government and what government's doing to choke off their ability to just run their businesses the way they see fit. And the bureaucratic state, the administrative state, that gives an advantage to the big guys.
So Joe Biden is out telling everybody about Bidenomics is something that you should be proud of. And I was reading an article from Stephen Moore back on July 5th, and it said, Bidenomics is a bust. And we are so lucky to have Stephen Moore joining us today live from Washington. Stephen, how are you, sir?
Good to be with you. And you're right, Bidenomics is a bust. And, you know, there's an old saying, trying to put lipstick on a pig. And that's what Biden has been trying to do for the last month, to say, oh, look how wonderful everything is going. And people are going, what country is he talking about? Because, you know, the price. Do you know how much prices are up since Biden took office?
I have no idea.
16.5%.
Wow.
And they'll soon be up, 20%. So when he says prices are starting to fall, that's, Mr. President, that's not true. The rate of increase of the price increases is falling. But, we still have 4% inflation. And I think, you're going to see, more inflation to come. What are you paying for gas?
We just got up to, I think I saw 346 when I was driving in today.
389 in Illinois.
Illinois is always more.
I was going to say, yeah. So the national average is about 379 or 369, 379. And we are, I don't want to spoil anybody's day, but we're headed back to $4 a gallon gas because the oil price keeps spiking. Because why is that? Because Biden has declared war on American energy, so we're not drilling for the oil and gas that we have in this country. Bottom line is that we have driven up the national debt by $6 trillion in 2.5 years. Way to go, Mr. President. You're number one. And number two, the average family in the United States, depending on how you want to measure it, has in purchasing power, in other words, how much they can buy with their paychecks, has lost about $4,000 to $5,000 in income. That's a lot of money.
It is.
It's a lot of money to lose in just 2.5 years. So this is going to be, I hope this election coming up is going to be at the economy, because no matter how you feel about Donald J. Trump, and I was, I was an economic advisor to Trump, and so I know him, and I agreed with some things he did. Some of it, I don't always like his actions. Let's put it like that. But you got to admit, his policies were fantastic for the economy and for the American worker.
That's one of the things we were talking about earlier, and looking at all the presidential candidates that are running right now. They're all kind of pigeonholed from a standpoint of what you just said. The majority of them, when you say, what are you going to do for economics? They say, what Trump did, for the most part,
Exactly.
just without the mean tweets, right? I'm going to do it in a kinder, gentler way, but I'm still going to put all the same policies into place.
Yeah, well, that's a good solution to our problems. I mean, and I was with the president this weekend. I flew with him to Iowa, for that big powwow they had this weekend, and I asked him, we were talking about all these crazy things Biden was doing, and he kind of just rolled me and said, first thing I'm going to do when I'm back in the White House, I'm going to have a stack of executive orders an inch long, and we're just going to keep signing these, and it's going to undo all the crazy things that Biden has done. And I'm like, bravo, that's a winning message.
Well, that's pretty much the exact same thing that Biden did on his first day. You remember
Exactly.
that? He went in after getting sworn in and had them all stacked up and just started signing away the future of our country.
That's right. So, we're not going to build the wall. We're going to stop. You know what his first executive order was?
Wasn't it Keystone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, killing the pipeline. Oh, good. Now we're not going to have the jobs for the pipeline. Now we're not going to be able to distribute the oil and gas around the country. But yeah, really, that's a smart thing to do. And, it was on and on from there. And these things, one of the things I really was attracted to Trump about, I think most people was this put America first.
Exactly.
And what's wrong with that? I mean, the left says, oh, that's so jingoistic to put America first. Well, isn't that what a president should do?
We're talking with Stephen Moore, who's a distinguished fellow in economics at Heritage. I was watching, it was a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was the Fox News Sunday show with Shannon Bream, who I really like, by the way. I think she does a nice job on that show.
Yes, she does.
She had his chief economic advisor who was on. And it goes back to something you were saying earlier. Biden's
Right.
chief economic advisor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Steve, I change horses and don't tell anybody.
Okay, I got it. I just want to make sure.
It's a bad thing with that ADD. Just kicks in.
Was that Jared Bernstein?
It was. So it was.
I've known Jared for 25 years. Nice guy. Completely wrong on everything.
You're a really nice guy. If you weren't just wrong all the time, you'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was interesting, though, because you talked about it earlier. It's where you make your starting point that changes your argument completely. So Shannon Bream was talking about, here's what everybody is saying about Bidenomics, and no one is feeling the success that the president is out there claiming is happening. And he said, well, gas prices have dropped here, and this has happened, and that has happened. And she goes, wait. You're changing your starting point. You went from $5 gas and said, but we're at $3.79 now. Yeah, but when you came in, it was $2.12.
It's $2.49 or something. Yeah, $2.39 or something like that. Right. That's true.
When you change that, you can claim success.
Another example of that is by saying, look at all these jobs I created. Do you know, like 92% of those jobs were just jobs we already had that just came back when we reopened the economy?
You didn't create, you recouped.
Exactly. And they would have, people forget the last 6 months of Trump's presidency, the economy is absolutely booming. And we had this incredible boom going on in the economy. It grew like 11% as we reopened. And so, Biden didn't, and then we had the vaccine coming out, which helped create, the U.S. economy should be soaring right now, and instead we're stuck in the mud.
Does it not surprise you that you don't hear more of the Republican presidential candidates talk more about the economic picture?
Well, I mean, look, it is true. In the last 6 months, the economy has improved from its. Remember, last summer we had a 9.2%, inflation rate.
Right.
9.2%. That's like third world country inflation. And so things were miserable, and things have gotten a little bit better. Like we got a 2.4% growth rate for the second quarter, which is a decent number. It's not great. The problem is all of that is being built on debt. Do you know over the last 12 months how much we borrowed in the U.S. government?
No.
$2.1 trillion. Wait a minute. How can that be? Biden's running around the country saying, I cut the debt by $1.7 trillion. What is he talking about? What the hell is he talking about? This is one of the biggest. The only year we've had a bigger debt than we do now was 2020, when the United States economy was completely shut down.
As you're seeing all of these presidential candidates talk about all the different things that they're going to take on.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at the debate that's getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
And I ask you this only because you just spent time with the president, as you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be on that stage when that debate happens? He hasn't committed so far.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I really can't say. I cannot figure that out whether he's going to do it or not. But he is a commanding lead right now. He gave one of the best speeches in Iowa. After the thing is over, that in Iowa they had a big, all these reception parties afterwards. So, the DeSantis was over here, and Nikki Haley was over here, and Tim Scott was over here, and Mike Pence was over here. And then, there's like, maybe 100 people with each of them, and there's like 600 people in the Trump, camp. So he has a commanding lead, and I don't know. I just don't know whether he's going to do that debate or not.
Does it surprise you at the lack of targeting that we are seeing from the other candidates at President Trump? Because what I see most of them doing is aiming at Ron DeSantis. And they seem to all be playing for second place and just yielding the field, except for a Chris Christie. DeSantis obviously is going after him. And then you had Will Hurd over the weekend, who was going after him.
He got booed off he was there. I was there. He got booed off the stage when he started attacking Trump. Look, Trump is popular with Republican voters. He just is, for the things that he did and for the themes that he's laid out. Look, I can't tell you. I mean, I love Ron DeSantis. I think he's been an incredible governor. So I have a high respect for him. I have high respect for Tim Scott. I'd love to see a African American on the Republican ticket. I think he'd be a great vice president to Trump. I mean, Nikki Haley, it would be great to have a woman. So that's the other thing. I'm a Republican. We have an incredible bench. Who do the Democrats have? Kamala Harris? Really?
That's part of the thing that Brad and I were talking about earlier before we came on the air. One of the things that I don't hear people talk enough about, in my opinion, is we are wondering, is Biden going to make it through 2024? And a lot of people are saying it's an open question as to where he's going to make it. But if he did, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I would say I hope that he is the nominee, because I think he'd be by far the easiest person to beat. But I don't think he's going to. I don't think he will be their nominee.
Who do you think would end up being the person? Do you think it's going to be Gavin Newsom, or do you think it'll be someone else?
Well, I hope it's not Gavin Newsom, because Gavin Newsom is a Bill Clinton type character. He's been a terrible, terrible governor. And California is a mess, but he's very charismatic. He's a very charming guy. I know Gavin Newsom. I think highly of him. I mean, just as a person, but his policies. I mean, really, are we going to make America look like California?
There's enough to not vote for him right there. Ryan was just talking about a story of you can't build anything.
Everybody's leaving California.
Right.
For the first time in American history, people are leaving California because of the taxes, the crime, the out-of-control border, the homeless people everywhere. People are feces in the streets. I mean, it's disgusting what's happening to California. And so, no, we don't. That's the theme. If he is the candidate, it's like he's going to do all these crazy things that he's done to California for the country. So, but he is a slick guy. So,
Steve Moore, this is Ryan Wiggins. I just wanted to ask real quick before we run out of time. Hi.
Yeah.
How much, whether it's Trump or any other Republican candidate, how much does just opening up American energy fix a lot of the problems that we're going through?
Oh, it's a big. First of all, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, it's crazy not to be producing oil and gas in Texas, in Oklahoma, and North Dakota, and West Virginia, and instead getting it from Saudi Arabia or Russia. I mean, does that make any sense at all? Yeah, I mean, so any thinking person knows that that's a crazy policy, and any of these Republicans would do that, turn the spigots back on. And you heard Trump. I mean, he was asked by Shannon Bream a few weeks ago on that Fox Sunday, what's the first thing you do? He said, drill, baby, drill. And I don't care what your position is on climate change. We're not going to solve climate change by shutting down American energy. I mean, yeah, they'll all do it. And, I know we're out of time. Here's a statistic to keep in mind. So we're 2 million barrels a day short of where we were under Trump in production. So the price of oil is about $82 a barrel right now. I checked this morning. So do the math. That's about $164 million a day that the United States is losing in terms of output of oil and gas because we're not producing the oil we should. That's $162 million a day. Think of all the good we could do with that money.
Man. Wow. And it's such an easy solution, too.
Yeah, it's obvious.
Ryan was just reading a story about building a first nuclear power plant that they're looking at actually building in Georgia and putting nuclear energy into the mix as well.
Guess who's against that?
The Democrats.
Yeah. No, wait a minute. They said climate change is the biggest threat. It was an existential threat. If they're right about that, then the solution to our energy problems is obviously we would just have to build 100 nuclear power plants. But they don't want to do that. Does anybody really think we're going to be able to provide enough electric power? I should have never eaten that Snickers bar before I came out and saw. Sorry about that. But does anybody think we could, power a $24 trillion economy with windmills? Are we going back to the Middle Ages?
I think they've already proven in California that whatever they have working in California is not actually working in California. So
exactly.
you cannot do that.
They basically turned out the lights. They have rolling brownouts and blackouts in California, and that's coming to a neighborhood near you if we let that policy go national.
That is Stephen Moore, the Distinguished Fellow in Economics at the Heritage Foundation. Thank you for spending some time with us today, and we'll keep watching what you're writing, and we appreciate you putting that out there.
All right. And I'm going to go wash water. See you guys.
Take care. If you didn't see it over the weekend, the trade deadline is fast approaching. I think it's today. Isn't today the trade deadline?
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. I knew it was close. It's in a day that ends in Y. It was going to be one of those.
Yeah.
We're going to talk with Matt Pauly on the other side because the Cardinals have decided to be sellers, and they have gotten rid of some guys who were at the end of their contract, that their contract was going to be up at the end of this year, and they have already made some moves. So we will talk to Matt and find out what can we expect from the Cardinals moving forward for the rest of the season, and are tickets going to get really, really cheap now? I'm guessing that's probably true. It's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today on St. Louis's home for conservative talk on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
The warmth of your furnace, the coziness of your gas fireplace, warm cookies from the oven, and a hot shower after a long day. This winter, take time to appreciate the gas that powers your home. Gas is flammable and can become dangerous if there's a leak. This message from the Missouri Association of Natural Gas Operators.
Learn to make money 5 ways with rental real estate. Double your money with apartments. And get your map to financial freedom. And that map starts with a free workshop. Sign up now at lifestylesunlimited.com. Click on the Join Free Workshop tab and attend online or in person. That's lifestylesunlimited.com. Lifestylesunlimited.com. Again, that's lifestylesunlimited.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential.
If you like to work with a local company that gives back to the community, Window World is the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. Mark Cox here from my friends out at Window World. What a great product. A lifetime warranty. It covers all the parts, the glass breakage, the labor. You've heard me say that before. And they've been around for over 20 years. They have improved the look and the efficiency of over 70,000 homes in the greater St. Louis area. They have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's hard to get, right? And that's important. They're ranked number one in the number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Call them for a free estimate. Let them show you why they say simply the best for less. New doors, new windows. With Window World, they're now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Or you can go online anytime to windowworld.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Mark Reardon returns Monday afternoon. Tune in and join us as we welcome him back to the airwaves.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
This may be my favorite CCR song of all time. I don't know why, but I really like this, and I just picture a guy blasting this through a speaker flying over the jungles of Vietnam.
Well, because every movie made about Vietnam played that song.
Me and my friends, when we'd be playing video games, every time we're in a scene with a helicopter or whatever, one of us pulls this song up on our phone and plays it.
There you go.
I got Mike's like, I don't know why I think about that, but basically because every motion picture made about Vietnam
has that in there. So frequency sells is what we've learned here, folks.
Yeah.
That's how that plays out. Hey, you know what else sells? The Cardinals. Selling players whose contracts are coming up to the end. Matt Pauly is joining us. He's the host of Sports Open Line over at our sister station, KMOX. Matt, how are you?
I'm good. I guess the players who are moving on from the Cardinals into playoff races can be fortunate sons.
Well, hopefully it's more fortunate for them than it was this year. Yes, very good.
Bunch of radio pros.
Thanks for playing along right there. Segues are us, folks, on the Annie Frey Show today. So we made a trade. I guess we made 3 trades, didn't we? Or did we make 2 with 3 players?
2 with 3 players, yeah.
Okay. So, Brian, you weren't wrong. There were only 2 trades, but there were 3 players who were involved in this. So we got rid of Hicks, we got rid of Montgomery, and we got rid of one more player that I can't remember right now.
Chris Stratton.
Chris Stratton. And I would know Chris Stratton. Why?
Because he's in the bullpen and he's used almost every game, it feels like.
Well, when your starting pitching is this bad, Yes, your bullpen guys become a household name. That's just kind of how it works. So what do you think about these trades that you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I generally like them. The prospects that are coming back, 3 of the players that were received yesterday are already ranked in the top 10, according to MLB Pipeline, of the Cardinals' minor league system. So that's good news. Are any of these guys impact making going to be all-stars next year? No, probably not. But it refortifies the minor league system a little bit more. I do think there's a little bit of a misconception from some fans that the Cardinals were going to be able to get all these like big time players who are going to be big parts of big runs moving forward. And that really isn't what this trade deadline is about. It's more about going and getting some players who can be good pieces moving forward. I still think the heavy lifting is going to take place in the offseason.
Well, when you get to this point in the season, aren't you really saying, hey, I'm either going to be a buyer or be a seller? And if you're going to be a seller, what you're buying probably not going to be impact people, because people are getting it. If you're buying, that means I think I have a shot. So the last thing I'm going to do is give you a good piece of my puzzle. I may give you somebody from my farm team, but I'm not going to be giving you anybody good on my major club, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's about trading away major league players for young players of the future. Now, some of these players could turn into better players than what you're trading away, maybe not. But here's the deal: the Montgomery and Hicks and Stratton, they were all going to be free agents at the end of the year. So they were going to walk away and you were going to get nothing. So you've lost 2 months basically of those players, and you're getting some really nice prospects in return. Again, 3 top 10 organizational prospects come back in exchange for losing 2 months of major league players that in a season where you weren't really competing for anything.
Hey, Matt, I was just kind of wondering, what is there anybody else that would be on the trade block, or are they kind of done?
Oh, I think we're going to see more moves, and it could be dramatic. Jack Flaherty's the guy who I think is most likely to get moved, but some combination of Brendan Donovan, Tommy Edman, Dylan Carlson, probably not Tyler O'Neill, but maybe Paul DeYoung, other bullpen pieces that are there. There certainly could be numerous more moves before 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Matt, are they just trying to pull future stars here? Are they trying to do anything with anybody that we're going to care about for this season?
Nothing for this season. You know, they got a pitcher yesterday in one of the trades, John King, but he's going to be on the big league team, but he's not I'm not trying to dismiss him. He's not an impact kind of guy. It's also if you're trading players off of your major league roster, you do have to replace those players. There do have to be guys who take, one of those 26 roster spots. So if there is an opportunity to add a player, a major league player who you would have control over beyond this year, then they would make that move, and those players would be on the roster this year. But it's not about this year. It's about the value that those players can bring in 2024 and beyond.
Do you think if they move specifically that they're going to get somebody who's a little bit more of a marquee minor leaguer, or is it just they're just going to kind of collect as many as they can and see what happens?
Yeah, I think the return from yesterday would be somewhat similar to, Jordan Montgomery and Jack Flaherty. The value of those guys isn't a whole lot different. And in that Montgomery trade, they were able to put Stratton in there as well. So I think what they got yesterday is about the kind of prospect that they'll continue to get. I don't want to dismiss, the Roby kid who came over in one of the trades. He's now the number 4 ranked prospect in the Cardinals organization. Only Jason Wynn-Tink Hintz and Gordon Graceffo are ranked higher. The Robersa kid, he's number 6. So between Roby and him, only Cooper Jerpy, who was not the overall number 1 pick, but their first round pick in not this most recent draft, but last year's draft, he's in there. So, these are legit prospects that are coming over.
So I was curious, a lot of the names that you rattled off with Flaherty, DeYoung, I was surprised when you said not O'Neill. So you don't think Tyler O'Neill's going anywhere?
So the report was, and Katie Wu from The Athletic reported this, and I tend to believe what she said. She's really connected in there, is that they're likely to hold on to him this year. And I think what's going on is he hasn't stayed healthy. So his value is kind of at a low spot right now because of a team that goes and acquires him probably can't depend on him staying healthy. If he stays healthy for the final 2 months of the year, all of a sudden his value is going to just, rocket up, and they can revisit that in the offseason. Now, if a team really covets his skill set and is comfortable with where he is from a health standpoint, they could come and they could blow you away with an offer, and I'm sure the Cardinals would absolutely listen. But, selling low is not where you want to go. So you evaluate players, value at this moment. I hate saying that. They're human beings. They're not products, but they're kind of being viewed as assets right now. You look at the value of a player, and somebody like Tyler O'Neill, who has a year plus of not being able to stay healthy, his value is not an all-time high by any stretch of the mind right now.
Do you think Tyler O'Neill is on this team next year?
No, I don't. I would say 80-20 that he's not.
Yeah, I just feels like he is crossways with the management. And it just doesn't feel like there's a pathway for him. I mean, I've really liked the guy over the years, but it just feels like he can't stay on the field. For whatever reason, something always happens where you lose a lot of time with him.
Yeah, that's what it's been the last couple of years. I don't know if he's sideways with management or not. I think he has a good relationship with Oliver Marmol. The thing that's frustrating about him is you just continue to look back at his season 2 years ago in 2021, where he hits the 34 home runs and he has a 912 OPS and he's top 10 in the MVP voting, and he wins a Gold Glove that year. So it's just, it feels like if you've got that guy in the middle of your order, that's an all-star. That's a guy who might compete for MVP votes, but he just hasn't played that much over the last couple of years.
Do you think they're going to get rid of Tommy Edman, or do you think he's going to stay?
That's a great question. So
Thank you. I thought so too.
I think he and Brendan Donovan are largely the same player, especially the way they've used Edman more in the outfield here recently. And I don't think now is the time to trade Donovan because he can't play in the field. So if you're a team that's, trying to make a run right now, one of Donovan's greatest assets is his ability to go play all over the field. You're not going to go trade for him for a run this year when what he's known for and one of his great things, he can only DH and come in as a pinch hitter. So if you're hell bent on moving either Donovan or Edman, I think right now Edman's going to bring more value. He started his rehab assignment at Memphis over the weekend. It's hard for me to prognosticate who they're going to trade and who they're not going to trade. But if you were to ask the question, is it going to be Donovan or Edman, I would think that Edman would have a larger chance of being traded at this deadline.
I understand why the Cardinals are getting rid of a lot of stuff. I'm 57, and I don't remember this team ever being this bad. Maybe it was in the 70s, and I just wasn't paying attention. But over the last 40 years, I don't really remember the Cardinals being this bad day in and day out. But when I look at what we've got, it feels like you've got to hold on to something to build around moving forward. I'm going to assume that Goldschmidt and Arenado are staying put. You're not getting rid of them, but you're going to try and build around them. Is that fair?
Yes. And they intend to win next season. That's a really important thing here. They intend to be a winner next year. So I saw one of the national prognosticators evaluating these trades and basically said the Cardinals could have gotten more if they would have gotten younger players, because all the players the Cardinals have got in the trades are AA or above. So they are players that can be impacting the Major League roster either next year or 2025 at the absolute latest. This isn't a team that's going through a rebuild because they want to win in 2026 or 2027. They want to win in 2024. So I don't see a scenario where you trade either Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt and are better in 2024 because of it. That's just simply not going to happen. Now, John Mozeliak over the weekend did confirm that they're not going to trade those guys, and I think that's the correct decision.
We were talking to Stephen Moore in the last segment here about Bidenomics, and the president is out talking about how great the economy is, but nobody really feels it. So there's perception, and then there's reality. And I've heard an awful lot of people, and I honestly, I don't follow it that much to where I have a strong opinion about this either way. But you're in the trenches with this every day. It seems to be a perception among Cardinal fans, and whether he's good or he's not, John Mozeliak seems to just be a lightning rod for a lot of Cardinal fans, And for whatever reason, they don't feel that the Cardinals are willing to go World Series product on the field. Is that an unfair comparison, or is it fair?
I think parts of it are fair. I think there's two things going on here. If we evaluate the job that John Mozeliak did putting together the 2023 Cardinals, he did not do a very good job. And I think they misread some of the factors going into the season, most specifically the rule changes, not having the overshift now and having pitchers that pitch. He is, to his credit, he absolutely has accepted the fact that they need to change the way that they evaluate players. So he does not get a good grade on putting together the 2023 Cardinals. And I know in recent years, the team has not been overly successful in the playoffs, and you can't run away from that. Some of that is luck. Some of that is the way rosters are being built. I think, again, it goes back to pitching and the type of pitching that you have to be successful in the playoffs. There's also some luck that goes into being successful in the playoffs. So from an immediate standpoint, looking at John Mozeliak and saying there is some culpability on his part for the way this 2023 roster was put together, and they need to change things in a pretty big way, I think that's fair. What I don't think is fair is characterizing him as a bad baseball executive, somebody who can't evaluate talent, somebody who's, it's an organization that's not willing to go all in, things like that. Think about this team has won a lot of games under the DeWitt regime. They have won a lot of games with Mozeliak leading the way, and I think he does deserve the opportunity to try to fix this problem. It is a problem. It is a roster problem. He is at the end of the day, he's the guy who's responsible for the roster. But man, I just really feel like people are completely wiping out the history of the team under his leadership for many, many winning seasons.
So I'm over time, and I shouldn't ask you this because Brad's going to look at me anyway. So give me a quick answer on this. After all this is said and done, after we get done with the trade deadline is tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So after we get done with all that, if you're a Cardinal fan, and I do subscribe to the theory that a bad day at the ballpark is better than a good day at work. So I do subscribe to that theory. What can Cardinal fans expect once this is done when you pay your money and go to Busch Stadium?
There's still, look, you're still watching Nolan Arenado playing third. You're still watching Paul Goldschmidt. You're still watching really, really good players do things. Are there as many good players? Is there as much talent on the roster tomorrow as there was 2 days ago? No, they've traded some away. But then, just from a buying ticket standpoint, I don't get the whole we're going to, protest the team by not going to games. I was born in 1982. I'm 40. There were some really bad teams in the early 90s. I'm very thankful that my dad and my mom didn't say, we're not going to buy Cardinal tickets, we're not going to go to games because we're not happy with the product. I grew up loving baseball because of going to games, and a lot of that came in the early 90s. And here I am today, hosting on the Cardinal Radio Network, which is cool. So I just think, like you said, a day at the ballpark is better than a day anywhere else. You're not going to see a team that's going to win a whole lot of games in all likelihood, but it's still a pretty good place to go.
So that is Matt Pauly. He's the host of Sports Open Line on KMOX. Matt, thanks for taking some time with us today. I appreciate you, man.
You bet, anytime.
It's always good to kind of kick around what's up with the Cardinals because it's St. Louis, and they are so tied to the fabric of this community of what's going on. And when we get to a situation like this, where you're after the All-Star break and you're either going to be a buyer or a seller, the one thing I do like when you end up being in the seller side of this is you get the opportunity a lot of times to see these stars of tomorrow that they'll find out what do they have. And they'll go, hey, I'm going to bring this kid up and give him a shot. And sometimes they just turn into be a superstar. Maybe not long term, but they've got a month that they go off on this 18-game hitting streak. You're like, where the heck did that come from?
I'm one of those guys that I would really like to see play this year with the big club is Mason Wynn. He's a shortstop and infield prospect that they have right now down in AAA Memphis. Okay. And he has an absolute cannon, and he's figuring out his swing. I think he would be a lot of fun to watch play.
I would assume at this point in the year, if you are a AAA manager, you understand what your job is, right? You understand you're here to develop guys and get them up to the big leagues. Because right now, you've got to be just sitting there going, I'm going to lose all my good guys. all the good guys who've got any type of talent at all are going up to the majors, and I'm happy for them. But I got to retool my whole team with whatever I'm going to get, and I have no idea what's coming.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the exact opposite, that they don't bring these guys up on purpose because they have nothing to gain, and they would start the clock on their arbitration. So why even pull them up to
I
the
don't
big
know
leagues
that
at
it
all?
starts their clock this late in the season. So when the roster expands, I think you can call people up without starting that clock.
Oh, that's now, though? I thought that was later.
Yeah, that happens later, but I don't know that I don't even think they expand the roster anymore. That was one of the rule changes, but I don't think it starts the clock on their arbitration.
Welcome to Sports Open Line on 97.1.
Give us a call.
Let us know what you think we should do about firing everyone who's in charge of everything.
For the next hour, let us know how you feel about John Mozeliak.
That's generally how it goes, isn't it? We're sports fans. We're just pissed off of the world, and we're calling you right now to let you know about it. Hey, by the way, I haven't talked about this, and I should have been talking about this. We actually do want to know your opinion. Our YouTube live chat poll, would you consider buying an electric vehicle, yes or no? So go on our YouTube live chat poll right now. Let us know, are you electric vehicle friendly, or are you, I don't know. We'll see. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie Frey today on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to ensure you maximize your investment. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, Board and Batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. They also carry Anderson and Marvin windows and doors. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today. sidingexpress.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
We just heard from Matt Pauly about the Cardinals trade deadline. If you want to rewind on the Odyssey app and listen to all the names you've never heard of that the Cardinals are picking up, like Cooper Jerpy. 148. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Fact-checking the mainstream media daily.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You found it here. 97.1 FM Talk. Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
Eventually, Tom Petty starts singing in this song. I didn't realize the intro was that long. There you go. And she got an American Girl doll, and then she was really happy until she went to the Barbie movie, and just everything went to hell in a handbasket. Speaking of going to hell in a handbasket and how our country's Bidenomics is working out, Devon Archer is on Capitol Hill doing some closed-door testimonies. So the way they have this set up is the Republicans get an hour, then the Democrats get an hour, then the Republicans get another hour, then the Democrats get another hour after that. But a lot of the people who are asking the questions today are not the congressmen and women. It's their legal people. So you have a lot of attorneys that are basically doing a hearing with all of these folks. So tell us a little about who is Devon Archer?
Okay, so Devon Archer he's another one of, I guess you could call him a whistleblower, but he's not really from that, he's not from the government. But all these people are now coming out because they were waiting for a Republican House, basically, right, because they couldn't do anything in Congress without having somebody who was willing to listen to them. So we've got all these whistleblowers that have come out for months now. He's, I guess, in line with that. He, though, is a former friend and business partner of Hunter Biden. So he's not a government agent of any kind.
He actually was in business with Hunter Biden, as opposed to what his dad said.
He served with Hunter on the board of Burisma and was described by Hunter as his, quote, best friend in business. And so he is in a position to answer a lot of important questions about not just Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden's involvement with these business dealings, because they were not just on the board of Burisma together. They were good friends in business. Why he's deciding to turn, I don't know. I could speculate that both Congress and the DOJ are investigating him.
Right.
So it may just be in his best interest to say, here's everything. I'm clean. Because he probably hasn't done anything illegal. So he's just saying, look, if you want to investigate, I'm an open book.
Well, he's going to jail today anyway. He's already been convicted on defrauding Native American tribes.
I'm sorry, that's right. Yes.
So
I said illegal, yes.
What? So
it was in 2022 that happened, the defrauding of the Wakpamini Lake community, yes.
Yes. That's our new shortstop that we just got in the trade, is Wakpanini.
Right, these names we've never heard of.
It's coming over from the Blue Jays. I have no idea. So you've got this guy who's doing all this testimony today, and supposedly he is going to say things like, I was on the phone or I was in the room when Joe Biden got on the phone with Hunter Biden's business associates that Joe claims he's never talked to before. And you had a lot of parsing of words that has been a very big deal lately, where it used to be, we have tons of quotes of Joe Biden saying, I never talked to my son or my family members about their business dealings. It was all on their own. Never talked to my brother. Didn't talk to any of them about anything they had going on. Now, instead of I didn't talk to them, it's become I was not in business with them. It's like, well, wait, why did you change? Probably going back to the fact that we have all these whistleblowers that are now coming out and saying, oh, no. He was neck deep in all this stuff. And he got $5 million and Hunter got $5 million from all of these places. It's amazing to me when I hear the clips, just listening to the clips of the Democrats talk about this situation. It sounds exactly like the Republicans 2 years ago or 3 years ago when they were talking about all of the Trump stuff, right? It's exactly the same things of the words that they're saying, and saying that there's nothing to see here. There's really nothing that's going on. In Trump's case, for a lot of stuff that they were talking about, there wasn't
anything going on.
There wasn't anything. They're not lying. But the Democrats are coming out and saying the same thing. It's like, it's a big nothing burger. There is nothing to see here. I'm like, wait, you impeached Trump because he had a phone call with the Ukrainian president. You impeached him over a phone call, okay? You have Joe Biden, who is on the record and recorded saying, I told them, fire that guy or I'm not giving you $1 billion. Okay. I mean, which part is bad? A guy who had a phone call or a guy who said, fire that prosecutor who's prosecuting my son's company, probably going to put my son in a Ukrainian jail if you keep going down this road. If you don't stop that, I'm going to hold $1 billion the United States is giving to your country. And then he goes, son of a bee, before I got on that plane, he was fired. Like, that is something. His own words have convicted him, in my mind, of all the different things that we're saying. And then you have the Democrats who pop on and they say, there's really nothing that's going on here. Do we have some comments?
Yeah, I have Andy Biggs here. This is right after he came out of the testimony, so I'll go ahead and play that.
Do you think the President of the United States is compromised based on Archer's testimony?
I think so. And we'll continue to do our due diligence and our research.
On the phone calls, Dan Goldman told us that all of the times that Joe Biden was put on speakerphone or showed up at a dinner, there was always niceties, nothing about business dealings. Is that?
Yeah, but he probably forgot to tell you that Devon Archer himself said that was an implication of who the big guy is. I mean, and Archer talked about the big guy and how Hunter Biden always said, we need to talk to my guy. We need to see when my guy's going to be here and those types of things.
Did you talk about the bribe at all? The $5 million bribe and the
he didn't know anything about it.
You know, if you're going to do an interview, it's good to get away from the squeaky screen door. Just don't stand next to the squeaky screen door when you start asking the questions. Did it not sound like that's what it was when he first came out?
I don't know what I didn't know we were I thought we were going to a studio and then we're just these guys walking through.
Yeah, it was him coming out of the hearing itself.
I would expect at some point you're going to have because I know Jim Jordan is in these meetings, and I'm assuming that you're going to have them come out and do what they normally do, where they have a podium set up and then they come out and talk about, well, this is what we heard, if they can. I don't know what they can say when they come out now.
I honestly almost hope we don't get anything today, because if they got just the kind of same things that they were going to talk about anyway,
right,
then we're just going to have the same news cycle as we did last week. If they got something out of him that they are like, oh, that's a big deal, they may want to wait a bit and make sure that they're digesting this properly and that they come out with this properly, which means to me, I would rather them wait, because that means it was a bigger deal.
So stay tuned. We're going to find out, because we always find out, right? This is Washington. This is a sieve. It just leaks all the time. So if the Republicans have something, they're going to leak something out. The Democrats are going to do the same. So we'll figure out what's going on there. Did you survive the storms over this weekend?
I did not.
Luckily, he's on tape here, though. So there were a lot of bad storms that blew through the area. Dave Murray's going to come on with us in just a little bit. We're going to talk about some of those storms, talk about the weather. Does it seem worse to you than what it has been in the past? We'll find out what Dave says. It's the Annie Frey Show. My name's Mike Elam, 97.1 FM Talk.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
If your house isn't cooling like you want it to and you need an honest opinion, we will diagnose your system to, one, verify is it your system, or quite possibly it's your house? And if it is your house, meaning installation, windows, door, we can refer you out to a company that you can trust and save you thousands on your furnace and air conditioning cost, because your system might not be the problem. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, there's just one number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600, or bartinman.com. Now that's a Bart with a B and Inman with an I.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A mom who killed her children learns her fate. Lisa Brady, Fox News. A judge in Idaho just sentencing Lori Vallow Daybell to life in prison without parole for killing her two youngest children and conspiring to kill her husband's previous wife, Tammy Daybell. Tammy's sister speaking at the hearing.
She is irreplaceable. She was 1,000 times the woman you will ever dream of being.
Daybell's fifth husband, Chad, a doomsday fiction writer, is awaiting trial on the same murder charges. Sources say a former Hunter Biden business associate, Devon Archer, has told a House committee behind closed doors today that Hunter put his father, then Vice President Biden, on speakerphone more than 20 times during business meetings, including a call seeking help from Washington for a Ukrainian energy company under investigation by a prosecutor in Ukraine.
Keep in mind that if you're dealing with people overseas and you're the son of the vice president, now the president, and you put him on the speakerphone, that is going to carry a certain amount of weight, especially when you're dealing with this question of the Ukrainian prosecutor, Viktor Shokin. And that's what Republicans are trying to get at here.
Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. Archer is taking questions from both sides of the aisle. The president denies any involvement in his son's business dealings. U.S. officials say they are aware of reports that two Americans have been kidnapped in Haiti, but a State Department spokesman says he can't offer details, calling it an ongoing law enforcement operation. Fox's Evan Brown.
The faith-based nonprofit group El Roi Haiti says a nurse and her daughter from New Hampshire doing humanitarian work in that country are both kidnapped. The nurse is identified as Alex Dorsainville, and she is the wife of the group's program director. They run a school in Port-au-Prince. Dorsainville and her daughter were taken from that campus last Thursday.
Amid ongoing violence in Haiti, the State Department has urged U.S. citizens to leave. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This could be the start of a break-in.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Or the end of one. Introducing 24/7 Lifeguard Protection, only from Simply Safe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Temperature's pretty easy to take going through our Monday afternoon. Partly sunny skies. We'll watch for a couple of spot storms. 88 for the high. Tonight, clouds dominate. A batch of thunderstorms after midnight. Scattered variety. 68. Tuesday, changeable sky with a mix of clouds and sunshine. There will be some scattered storms, and it's kind of a cool day on Tuesday. Coolest of the week with a high of 82. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 8th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Seats are limited, so go online to retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you getting near retirement and wondering if you'll be able to live the same lifestyle as you are now? Do you worry about losing your nest egg in the next big market correction? Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older, You can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg and provide more income than most investment options. Would you like to know why linking to the market is safer than owning the market? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you don't want to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Tuesday, August 8th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird specials at $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also stop smoking with Mark Patrick. No matter how many times you try to quit, this hypnosis is designed to destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars Saturday, August 15th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. And Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis, Fairview Heights, and Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
If you need last-minute hires in no time, you need Indeed. Their integrated hiring solution lets you schedule and conduct video interviews all in one place. Finding your next great hire has never been more streamlined. Get hiring at Indeed.com/credit.
For over a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM radio for every vehicle act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Refresh, restore, and protect your investment. Call Zero Res to clean your business the right way so your floors and surfaces stay cleaner longer without the harmful chemicals the other guys use. Call 314-474-2020. Ask for the Mark Reardon special or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
The voice for hardworking, free-thinking Americans.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
It's Mike Elam for Annie Frey today. Breaking news. Devon Archer is leaving the Capitol or wherever it was that they were doing the interviews with him. His great comments coming out were, yep, that was it. That's exactly what he said.
I think at one point he did say, I'm trying to go this way.
That's it.
And the reporters were blocking him.
Yeah, you're blocking him, go that way.
That'll make a heck of a chyron.
He gets to the elevator and he turns around and you can see him just staring and Ryan says, he's going, please elevator doors close. Please elevator doors close. Come on.
Yep.
I'm ready to get out of here.
Please.
I've got jail to report to.
Standing there. And he's just smiling the whole time.
I don't know why he's so happy.
Weird. It's kind of weird.
It's every picture that you see with the guy, though, he's either got a smile or a smirk. Every one that I've seen so far of the guy. So he must be a happy fella. That's just.
I'm sure that's what he's thinking.
He's thinking.
He's a happy guy. Happy-go-lucky old Devon Archer.
I'm going to have a year to do absolutely nothing in jail, and I'm going to write a book. That's exactly.
Actually, you're right.
It's probably exactly how this is going to go. Well, that's probably a safer place to be than it was out and about on Saturday night because the weather took a turn on Saturday and got nasty all over the region. So wanted to talk, whenever you talk weather, you got to go to the guy who's been doing it since weather started. It's Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Hey, were you surprised at how bad that storm got on Saturday night, or was that exactly what you were expecting?
I was expecting some severe weather. Once I saw what it was doing around Kansas City, really late Friday night into early Saturday morning. If it was going to hold together, which it looked like it probably would since it was coming into soupy air. Not overly surprised. 79, 80 mile per hour winds. Yes, that's severe weather. I mean, we get that in St. Louis, but a lot of folks got it. Everybody kind of got it. Winds were the big factor. Hail was a big factor, besides 1 to 2 inches of rain in a relatively short period of time. But it busted the heat, and that's usually what it takes to bust, a 3 or 4 day heat wave for St. Louis.
Did we actually get a tornado at any point in the St. Louis area?
I have not seen any reports of a tornado. Straight line winds were dominant, again, in the 60 to 80 mile per hour range, and that can do the exact same damage as a tornado. It's just a little bit different damage as far as which way it goes. Instead of in a circular pattern, it's in a straight line pattern. So could there have been some small spin-up tornadoes like EF1? Maybe, but not seeing any reports on that.
We were over at a friend's house in O'Fallon, Missouri, and hanging out. They have a pool. We were hanging out at their pool and having a good time. And then here come these dark clouds that start kind of rolling in. And one of the ladies said, I think we probably need to think about getting out. And we're like, it's not that bad. Let's wait for a while. So we finally ended up all getting out of the pool. And we go inside to eat. And then here come these winds that, like, we didn't hear any sirens. So I don't know that the emergency alert went off. Is there a threshold that most counties use for setting off the alarm system?
Yes, it's strictly tornado warning, whether it be indicated by radar or an actual spotting of a tornado. They do not sound the sirens for wind.
So no wind gets the sirens. It's got to be a tornado before that happens.
Got to be a tornado, right.
Gotcha. Ryan.
Dave, just like Mike, I was at a pool on Saturday hanging out, and we saw those clouds start rolling in. And
well, you guys have a really rough life, first of all.
I know.
We're big-time radio people, Dave. I don't know if you know that, but that's what it's the life of a celebrity.
We're kind of a big deal around here.
Yeah, mine was an above-ground pool, just so we're clear.
I was in a flamingo inflatable yelling, I'm Ryan Wiggins from 97.1.
Recognize my greatness.
Yeah, and everybody said, guy, you should probably get out of the pool. And I said, I'll talk to Dave Murray on Monday.
That's right. I know Dave Murray.
No, but Dave, this is not the first time this month that we've gotten these straight line winds. I live in Collinsville, and we got demolished around July 4th that weekend, where we didn't have power for days. And I mean, it took out the whole city. At least half of the city didn't have power for days. And
this would be about the third event in July. We had something on July 1st. We had something around the 10th, I believe it was, 10th, 11th, 12th. There was a stretch of storms, and then this one.
Yeah, this is not common, right? I don't remember July's being like that.
Nah, July. It all depends on the imbalance of heat and humidity, and when you get it, you get it. And certainly, I can't recall a July 4th weekend in St. Louis where we didn't have severe weather. It always happens at least once or twice, and again, sometimes 3 or 4 times in the month of July. Highly unusual? No, not really.
So, Dave, I was joking earlier about how you've been doing weather since weather was around, but you have seen a lot that's happened, and whether it's true or not, the perception feels like, because we were talking about it here in the office, it feels like this summer has had more bad weather. Is that just our perception, or
I think it has become the big player in national news for whatever reason. It must be driving ratings, because weather has always driven ratings, especially on the local scale. I think on the national scale, oh, look at this, it's hot. Look at this, there's thunderstorms. Look at this, and most people are going, yeah. That's what happens. It's it's Phoenix. It's hot.
So it's really not any worse than what we normally get. We're just it's just our perception.
I think it is a perception. It's what we're hearing. Just to give you an idea, in St. Louis, Now, granted, we still have one more day to go, but our temperatures will be in the 80s today. So the temperatures will be about 1.5 degrees above average for July. We've had let's add today. We've had 10, 11 days in the 80s. We've had 20 days of 90 plus and 2 100 plus. We had a 100-degree day and a 101 day. That's, in my book, that's not a bad July for St. Louis.
I think
when you
go ahead. Sorry about that.
Well, we had one day where it barely got to 80 degrees. So variability, yes, always. That's what St. Louis is all about. And that's why I love doing the weather in St. Louis.
Yeah, weather in St. Louis is a good job security position, because if you don't like the weather right now, just stick around for a few hours. It's going to be completely different in a little bit.
Yes.
And on Saturday it was. I mean, it went from scorching hot to, after the storm blew through, as long as you still had your house standing, it felt pretty good outside.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad at all.
It was delightful once the line kicked through. There was about an hour and a half of mainly light rain behind that line, and then that was it. The northwest flow took over. Winds turned behind the cold front and brought some drier air in, and that paved the way for a beautiful Sunday.
Dave, if July was just slightly hotter than usual, or has been so far, was June below average?
June was below average by about a degree. Again, slightly below average.
Yeah, it just seemed like I've talked to so many people. You know, apparently all of our friends have pools, and we're all wealthy, and we just have people bring us cocktails all day.
As long as they don't get a hole in them and deflate, we're fine.
Well,
that's right.
The pool people that we do talk to, who basically are our neighbors that we mooch off of, just so you have a better picture of it. They said, yeah, it's been really hard to get the water warm enough this year because of June, but now July, it's been almost too warm.
Yeah, and I can remember, July's. I would come home from work at 11 o'clock at night and jump into the pool, and the pool temperature was like 92 degrees. So it's not. This is not something that is brand new to St. Louis, and anybody who has lived here for any amount of time knows. We do get thunderstorms. We do get hot weather. We have not had any records in the month of July. When the highest temperature you've had in July is 101, you take that to the bank and say, goodbye, July. That was pretty good.
Yeah, Dave, having been in news, is it just one of those things where when it's really hot or really cold, or there's some weather event that everybody's talking about, journalists feel the need to write something about that, but a headline like, man, it's been hot, just doesn't go anywhere. So it's like they got to frame it up, right?
Oh, absolutely. They've got to say, this is the hottest weather in forever, kind of thing. And it's not. It's not. Anybody who went through the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the mid-80s, it's just brutal across this country, especially the 30s and the 50s. 50s were just intense. And that's where most of our records are in the summertime, are from the 30s and the 50s, and a little bit in the 80s, a little bit in the 2000s.
Did we just lose Dave? He was there?
He overheated.
He overheated.
Well, if you can hear us, Dave, we can't hear you.
So Dave, you just went away.
Oh,
there he is. Hey, welcome back.
It was the heat. It was the heat. It's never happened before. It's just the heat.
It's never the heat. It's always the humidity. That's just how it is. Hey, I did want to ask you one thing. We're talking with Dave Murray, of course, 97.1's chief meteorologist. So I used to have this boss that talked about the fact of being on for something. So the example he gave was he never paid attention to what the price of a washing machine was until his broke. And his wife informed him that they would be buying a new washing machine. They were not fixing the old one. So all of a sudden he was on for a washer, and he was seeing them everywhere and paying attention to that. Is that kind of what's going on with this winter or with this weather we're having? Because one of the things I haven't heard a lot about this year is hurricanes. A couple of years ago, it seemed like we had hurricanes every other week. They were all over the place. But this year, I haven't heard anything.
It all depends on the pattern that has developed. I mean, the pattern that has developed this particular summer is exactly what we thought it would be back in March. and it's held true. The La Nina is disappearing and El Nino taking over. That tends to suppress hurricanes. Now, it is only the end of July. The hurricane season peaks in September. We have plenty of time to go, but anticipate that this particular hurricane season should be relatively quiet. There's going to be hurricanes. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one, maybe two, category 3, 4 to hit somewhere in the United States, especially along the East Coast and especially the Northeast. That's the prime target, I think, in this particular pattern. But we have a long way to go in that season. Yes, you get storms in June. Yes, you get storms in July. But most of the hurricanes are August, September.
Well, I'm hoping that they don't come through very much because I'm one of those stupid people who's going to Florida twice in the next 45 days. So
well, you'll get great rates. If all of a sudden you're great cruise, or look at this. Look at these hotel rates in Florida. This is great. It's because it's the hurricane season.
And that's exactly why we're going. Plus, the kids will be back in school. And now that my kids are out of school, I can vacation when the kids are in school. It's a great thing. Hey, that's Dave Murray. Dave, we appreciate you joining us for a little bit. Anytime we're going to talk weather, we always go to the guy who knows it better than anybody. So we appreciate
it.
We appreciate you, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks.
That is Dave Murray. I still come back to the fact of, yes, there was climate change because the climate is always changing. It always has been. But I just think what Dave is talking about is very much to the point. Everybody is on fire about climate change. So you get to one of those things where if I'm looking for that, then I'm going to find it, right? What's that called? Confirmation bias. So I have a confirmation bias. And a confirmation bias just saying, if I'm already predisposed to have this opinion, I'm only going to pay attention to the things that support my opinion, and I will ignore the things that do not support my opinion.
You mean like Donald Trump is corrupt, he's guilty of something. We just now have to figure out what.
That's right. We know you did it. We just don't know what it is.
I mean, really. I'm joking, but that's really what it is.
That's what his presidency was, for sure.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, I'm in a Twilight Zone group on Facebook.
Okay.
And they're
shocked.
I know.
That says so much.
There's an episode where it gets so hot because in this episode, original Twilight Zone, the sun is getting closer to the earth.
Okay.
And there's a lady in her apartment, and she paints, and the paint starts melting off the paintings and stuff. It's just an episode about being hot. So everybody's been referencing that episode. And then somebody steps in and starts talking about, well, this is because of climate change. And then everybody else starts commenting, you know what really concerns me is the ice age that they were predicting in the 70s.
Yes.
Because we still haven't gotten it.
I was just about to say that because I remember years ago, Rush Limbaugh, it's got to be the late 90s, that I remember him talking about this. And I want to say it was the New York Times that it was some publication like that. It may have been another one that it went over 100 years. And about every 30 years, so maybe it was 120, but about every 30 years, they would talk about the heat that was coming, and then it would roll 30 years later to the ice age that was coming. And I remember them talking about the fact in the 70s that there was a real fear that by the time we got to where we are now, or maybe 10 years from now, they thought New York may actually have ice on top of it. And they thought Canada, not kidding, they talked about Canada maybe gone as a country because it was good. I mean, the land would still be there. It would just be covered with glaciers. So we were going to lose all that. So there may be a history of hysteria in this country. I'm just saying that's a possibility because if you go back and look at the news clippings, you can find them.
I'm just very thankful that we live in an age of saturated media right now because we got movies, we got TV shows, we got politicians all on record telling us exactly, and a lot of times, the year that things will happen by.
Exactly.
And we're starting to pass them up already, if you've noticed.
Yeah.
But they haven't changed their tune yet, so I'm kind of waiting to see when does that change? Or they just keep moving the date back.
Well, you got a lot of them that they say a lot of things. Remember when Donald Trump got elected, most of these Hollywood people were moving to Canada. And yet,
or said they were
still here. Yeah. I'm like, hey, aren't you supposed to be gone right now? I remember you saying, if Donald Trump gets elected, I'm moving to Canada. And yet, The View is still on the air. And and you're still here. I would say I really wanted to take you at your word. And it's one of the reasons why people voted for Trump. They wanted you to go to Canada. It had nothing to do with Trump. It had to do with Whoopi and Joy going to Canada. That was the whole version why I voted him. I thought you were a woman of your word.
Evidently
since
then, I have stopped taking The View seriously. Up until then, I took them at their word. But when they didn't move to Canada, I thought, you guys might be lying.
I can't trust anything that you say anymore. It's just not possible. Hey, it's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today. Brad is here. Ryan is here. We've still got our YouTube live chat poll of the day. Looking at some of the comments on our feed, I'm going to say most people here are saying no. But don't let that influence your opinion. Feel free to log on and let us know. Hannah's going to come on here in about a half hour or so and give us the results of that poll. It's the Annie Frey Show, and St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
You've been wanting to check out that news story that everyone's talking about, but you just can't find the time. That's why the On Deadline podcast is here. We pull together interviews from Odyssey's radio newsrooms across the country and add important context so you can really get the news fast. From wildfires and catastrophes at sea to new laws and presidential candidates, we'll have coast-to-coast coverage for you all in one place. Subscribe to On Deadline on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Let's listen in on a modern-day marriage proposal. The players lift their smartphones. The young man pledges his true love to the woman of his dreams. She accepts. They exchange kissing emojis. There are some hearts. Very nice. Well, look at this. He's putting his phone down. I don't believe it. He's got a box from Diamonds Direct. Well, now she puts her phone down. Oh, unbelievable. That, folks, shows how special a diamond from Diamonds Direct is. 2 people have put their phones down. He slips the Diamonds Direct diamond on her finger. She kisses him. Human contact, ladies and gentlemen. Who knew a Diamonds Direct diamond was capable of revolutionizing the virtual universe? And look at this. Her phone is ringing and she's still looking at her Diamonds Direct diamond. Oh, what's next? Tweets from actual birds? Amazing things really do happen when you give her a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Come in today and see how we can help you download real emotion. Details, store hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com. Your love, our passion.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
We are Under Law, your St. Louis legal powerhouse. Auto accidents, work injuries, pharmaceutical litigations, we do it all.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-900,000 to learn more.
If you need to sell your home to buy a new home, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty on your side, fighting for every dollar for you. Check out thegelmanteam.com. That's thegelmanteam.com.
There's a music station that fits your taste at Odyssey.com. Download the app for instant access to hundreds of music stations and listen live to 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it or stream from 971talk.com.
All right. Yeah. Well, I must admit, I can't explain any of these thoughts racing through my brain. It's true.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
So you get to some songs and you go, what the heck was that? So we just realized that I was telling these guys a story about when I was in Navy basic training. The guy who was my bunkmate in basic was playing that song Blister in the Sun. And this was January of 87. And I had never heard this song before. I mean, I'm from Northwest Arkansas. It's a sheltered life. You know, we didn't have Blister in the Sun.
You guys
in
didn't have the
Northwest
Violent Femmes in Arkansas.
No, we had country and Western. But we didn't.
You didn't have folk, rock, punk, skiffle.
We really didn't. I mean, there was Sex Pistols, not a big thing. I mean, that was not for music. That was a completely different thing of what it meant there with Sex Pistols. But that's a show that we can't do on the radio right now. But anyway, just realized that Blister in the Sun is 40 years old this year, 1983.
Wow.
How about that?
40 years old.
Yeah.
That song, we were just saying in the break, too. That does not sound like a song, from the 80s, let alone the early 80s.
Right. It really doesn't.
It sounds like a 90s.
You're on the edge of getting out of disco at that point.
Yeah.
Right? So
that
this
was
is
a
kind
different song.
Yeah, I guess that would have been considered a punk song at that point.
I looked it up and they said they classified it, that's why I said that, punk rock, folk rock, skiffle. Because it's nothing. It's nothing. It's just a weird song.
I honestly thought you just made the skiffle part
Oh,
up.
no, the Beatles were way into the skiffle.
I thought that was a Wiggins thing.
Nope.
I mean, hey, let's be honest. It could have been. It's not beyond the realm of possibility.
No, I could have just made something up. Yeah.
And I would have gone with it.
Yeah.
I would have said, yeah, that's probably true. I believe that.
Yeah, that comes from the Poundtron tradition.
Which
What's Poundtron? I just made it up.
Yeah, that's the guy who got traded for the Cardinals today. So it was awesome. We've got that going on. Hey, we've still got time for you to weigh in on the YouTube live chat poll today. Would you consider buying an electric vehicle? So we are going to get to that in a little bit. Get your votes in. Let us know. Are you electric, boogie woogie woogie, or are you not? So feel free to do that. So you had some other stuff that you were talking about with Wiggins America, but because the fill-in host gets chatty, didn't give you an opportunity to actually get through all the stuff that you have.
Well,
So
I over-prepared because I didn't know whether you would want to chime in on these.
it's probably because you know the fill-in host, so you felt that you needed to over-prepare, which
Just to be sure.
I completely understand.
So
that.
just some other stories that were making the rounds this weekend as part of the Monday Roundup, really, is the impacts of the Bud Light controversy are coming to a head. Have you seen what Bud Light is about to do?
No.
They are going to lay off, Anheuser-Busch InBev announced it's going to lay off 350 people.
Oh, but these are their upper management people. It's not the factory workers and stuff. This is management that they are laying off.
I don't know. I didn't read where it was coming from, but it was very much taking an approach of, well, this is definitely, look, this is because of our marketing problems.
Right. I thought you were saying they were actually going to address the marketing problem.
No,
but
that would be big news.
Yes, no. We're still not willing to get rid of the total wokeness, but we're partially in. We're going to fire a bunch of people for being woke, but we're not going to say that's what it's for.
Yeah, Bud Light sales down 28% compared to last year as of the week ending at the end of June.
That is brutal.
It is.
There are an estimated 18,000 Anheuser-Busch employees throughout the U.S., and the recent cut is equal to under 2% of the company's workforce. So it's not exactly, destroying the company at this point. And I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot more ads for Busch lately and Michelob.
Well, I've seen a lot more people. They're drinking other InBev beers,
yes.
Right? So they've moved from Bud Light, but they've moved to, and I'm with you, I have seen an awful lot, and maybe this is just a trend that was happening, and I wasn't paying attention until this Bud Light thing happened. An awful lot of young guys who I see at ballparks or concerts or something, they're into Busch Light. Busch Light is like a beer that they have been drinking for a while, but I didn't pay that much attention until the Bud Light thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a bunch of guys walking around with Busch Light. I'm like, when did that become a thing? And then there's an awful lot of people who've been drinking Mick Ultra for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that InBev is necessarily hurting or AB is necessarily hurting, because I think a lot of the Anheuser-Busch drinkers have just moved from Bud Light to another, whether it's Busch Light or Ultra or whatever they're drinking. But I will tell you, whoever was in charge of marketing Yuengling in the state of Missouri has got to be cashing bonus checks left and right, because Yuengling showed up in Missouri at exactly the right time. Because you had a lot of people who were waiting for Yuengling to show up anyway, like me. I mean, I would get it in Tennessee, I would get it in Arkansas, and bootleg it back up here.
Can you explain what you have to have a license to sell each brand in each state? Is that what that is?
So you have distribution deals, right? So Yuengling is America's oldest brewery. It's based out of Pennsylvania. Then they put a second brewery down in Florida, in Tampa. So if you were on the East Coast, for the most part, you could get Yuengling. Very popular beer, by the way, at Air Force bases. I don't know why it became a deal, but a lot of people have done that. So I had a friend of mine who brought some back from Florida, and he's like, have you tried this beer? And I'm like, no, I don't even know how to say the name of that beer. He's like, it's Yuengling. Bless you. So I didn't really understand. So I found out it's a Vienna lager beer. So you know how wines have all their different beers do too. So Vienna lager is my favorite type of beer. A Sam Adams, a Negra Modelo, Dos Equis Amber, they're all the same family that Yuengling is in, right? So Yuengling only had a limited distribution. They built a new brewery in Texas, and the Texas brewery is what is feeding Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, and now into Missouri. So our Yuengling beer here, for the most part, comes from Texas.
So it wasn't that it was illegal to sell it in Missouri. It was just harder to get.
Well,
that's all.
There wasn't a distributor in the state of Missouri up until this year. It's been coming for a while, but there was this brewery that you may have heard of, Anheuser-Busch, that pretty much made sure that no other beer got sold widespread here. Everything else just really limited distribution. And there's a lot of beers that just said, yeah, St. Louis, no, not coming. It's just not worth the fight. I mean, I remember back in the day when I was selling radio advertising, if you had Miller Coors or somebody like that sponsor an event, the Anheuser-Busch people would let you know, hope you enjoy that sponsorship because we are not going to spend a dime with you after this. And you're like, wait, upon further review, we've canceled that sponsorship. We would love for you guys to do it. And they'd say, we will, but we'll give you half of what those guys were going to give you, right? I mean, the brewery could strong-arm you and do that. But
that's business in general.
It is.
I mean that kind of stuff happens all the time.
But when you're this is Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. You're tied at the hip, man. You cannot separate the two. And so many people here have generations that go back to that brewery, right? Those are the guys I feel the worst for out of this whole thing. The men and women who work down at the brewery, who brew the beer, the one who load it on the trucks, who take it to the distributors, those distributors who rely on those case sales to be able to make a living, and the folks who are out there stocking the shelves with all that, those are the ones that are really paying the price for all this. Now, granted, those 350 who are getting ready to get fired, they're paying a price for the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But these Yuengling guys timed it perfectly. That said, hey, we're going to St. Louis. And they're like, okay, it's going to be a battle. Let's get ready. And they geared up and hit at just the right time. And all of a sudden, Yuengling is everywhere.
I remember doing a hit on Mark Cox's morning show right after this Dylan Mulvaney stuff happened.
Good thing it's legal now.
And it was that we had people call into that show and say, please stop talking about this. It hurts my job.
Yeah.
And you had to really ask, you know what? I really don't want to hurt people. I mean, some of these people are probably people I know and interact with.
Could be.
And you don't want to hurt their jobs, but at the same time, that's misplaced anger at the consumer. You can't really be hitting the consumer for not wanting to buy the advertising that's sold. You got to get mad at your corporate execs for what they did.
Well, and that's the thing about it. The consumer generally just doesn't want to make a political statement or a cultural statement by
not
drinking.
on the right, they don't.
Not by the type of beer they drink. You know, most of them, like, they don't want to have a Bud Light and it say, I'm saying something about myself with this Bud Light. They don't want to make that statement. They're not. They just wanted to have a beer. And for whatever reason, you know, there's a lot of speculation out there. Bud Light thought, you know what we should do? We should jump into the fray and make a statement, make our product, make a political statement, because that's kind of in vogue for companies right now.
Well, you had the lady who was the marketing director for them who called it a frat beer.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good old boys frat beer. We need to get away from that and broaden.
And I was listening.
Why? You're the #1 selling beer in America.
Yeah,
I think you're good. Don't screw it up.
Because somebody, it's just like anybody else. They come into a job and they go, how do I make myself known?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what she did.
That is right.
She got known.
And I was listening to a podcast, and I think it was Jordan Peterson said that these people that are going into these positions that lady was in have not really spent a lot of time amongst the people that would be buying their brand. So she goes out and she spends her entire life, her college career in college, with the people that think like her, act like her, whatever. And she looks around, she goes, they're not drinking Bud Light. My people aren't drinking Bud Light. I need to get them to drink Bud Light. And she's like, how do I get my people to drink Bud Light? Well, she does this thing, and then all of a sudden, well, that's not why your people aren't drinking Bud Light.
So years ago, I was at this marketing conference, and they had this thing that was called Marketing Wins, Loses, and Blurs, right? So it talked about the fact of should you do these different things to win? And one of the examples they gave was Heinz Pickles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Heinz was the #1 pickle producer. And if you look at the Heinz label on a ketchup bottle, and it says Heinz 57 that's on there, do you know what the 57 means?
No.
57 varieties of pickles. That's it. So Heinz was the #1 pickle manufacturer in America, and they had that slot. So they decided to shift their focus and go to ketchup and make Heinz ketchup. And they became the #1 brand of ketchup. But in doing that, they became the #2 brand of pickle, and Vlasic beat them. So it's called a blur because they won on one thing, but they lost on another. And I would say I would call that a win because I use ketchup on a regular basis. I don't eat pickles that often. So I'm going to sell a lot more ketchup than I am of pickles. And I think that's the same thing of what you're talking about. She saw this as an opportunity for me to broaden the pie, and I'm going to go do this.
Right.
But what she didn't realize, she did the exact opposite of what Heinz did, where you were #1 in ketchup, and you decided you wanted to be #1 in pickles. Dude, that's a bad decision because there's a lot more ketchup than there is pickles.
But the other side of that is, though, too, it speaks to the insulation that a lot of people making decisions at these companies have from the average everyday American.
It's very true. It's know your consumer.
They're in these environments where they're fed this ideology and stuff like that, and they think, oh, well, that's all I experience. That's the way everybody thinks.
Right.
Therefore, we need to do stuff like that. And then she did this, and she found out not everybody thinks that way. Not everybody is interested in making a big political statement, whatever their stance is on the transgender issues. They're just not interested in making a public statement on that. They're very private people. They would rather just drink their beer and talk to their friends. That's all they really want to do.
So I know we need to wrap this up and get to the next segment and get Hannah in here. But the one thing I was kind of looking at this weekend is I saw on one of the shows they were talking about young people in the largest numbers are refusing to classify themselves these days as either Republican or Democrat. You have fewer people who are declaring, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. The majority of young people now consider themselves independent. They do not want to be classified in either way that they're going there. And a lot of it is because they don't want to get into all this other stuff. To your earlier point, Brad, I just want to have a beer. I don't care what my beer's politics are. Or should I say, I don't want to know about politics with my beer. I don't want to know about politics with my actors. I don't want to know about politics with my musicians because I like you a lot more. I may really like your music. I may really like your movies. Don't give me a reason to stop liking you. And that's many times what they do. I'm going to come out and I'm going to give you this political stance because I feel like I need to join that woke culture. That's what everybody's doing now. There is a cultural thing that I need to take a stance on. No, you really don't. You could just make a really good product and invite everybody, whatever political persuasion, race, sex, creed, national origin, whatever. Quit subsetting people. Make a good product, sell it to them, and make a ton of money. And God love you, you know? Go with God on that one, and I hope you make a ton of money and everything's great. I don't want to know about your politics. I just want to enjoy a really good beer because it's 90 degrees outside. Sorry, 88. So, and by the way, today we are right on pace for exactly where our norms are. And that's the question I meant to ask Dave Murray. Hey, when they say norms, where do they get that? What's the space? Is it 10 years, 20 years, 100 years? I forgot to ask him that. We'll ask him that later. We'll ask you, where are you on would you consider buying an electric vehicle or not? That is our YouTube live chat poll of the day. We will get Hannah in here and get all the answers to that next. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie Frey today on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The warmth of your furnace, the coziness of your gas fireplace, warm cookies from the oven, and a hot shower after a long day. This winter, take time to appreciate the gas that powers your home. Gas is flammable and can become dangerous if there's a leak. This message from the Missouri Association of Natural Gas Operators.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Would you consider buying an electric vehicle? Yes or no? Cast your vote in the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll. The time is 2:48. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
If we end up with a Biden versus Trump presidential race, I think this is the first time in my life that a third-party candidate could actually win.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
See you driving round town with the girl I love, and I'm like, forget you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like,
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
and although there's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. But forget you.
You gotta love CeeLo Green, right? CeeLo's still around somewhere. I just don't know where he's at, but you know, that's I when I first heard that song, I was like, wait, that's a guy?
Let me text somebody and see where he's at.
He's probably in a pool. That's what's going on. Hey, it's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey. The whole crew is in here now. We're back to the quad screen, which is how we started today. Hannah has joined us again. Hannah, how are you?
I am great. Glad to be back in studio. I got some poll results for you guys.
Let's hear it.
First of all, I'll give some comments to the question, would you consider buying an electric vehicle, yes or no? Dawn Phillips is watching on our YouTube channel, and she says, I drive an electric vehicle for work, and I have found so many issues that they have to work out before I even think about buying one for her personal use. They're too much money for what they are. So she is not a fan of electric vehicles. And
that's a no.
Wouldn't buy one. On the other hand, Katie Matthews says, yes, my family is considering the purchase of an electric vehicle. It will likely be our next big purchase, and we've received bids for installing a charging station in our garage. So she voted yes. Wavy says, I want an EV. I want to get a solar before I buy one. I simply don't want to be forced to buy one.
I have solar, by the way. I have a 15-kilowatt solar array on my house.
I didn't know that.
Which is awesome right now because I don't have an electric bill.
Wow, that is awesome.
Thanks very much.
STL commented and said, considered buying an EV, but they're too expensive, inadequate with the charging options they have, too short range, dangerous fire hazard in the rural areas. The closest charging station they have is at a fire station. It's STL says my Chevy Cruze gets 50 miles per gallon. Fine. Otherwise,
well, if it catches on fire, that fire station's going to come in handy.
Oh, there we go. Sheepdog said, "Let me consider buying an EV for a second." Hell no. So, Sheepdog is not getting an EV. What do you guys think around the room about electric vehicles?
What do you think, Ryan?
Since the parameter wasn't, would you consider buying one right now? I'm going to answer yes, because at some point I might. It really has to be, I think a couple people said this, it has to be market driven. Let the market get you there. Let the technology get there. And if the technology can't get there, the market will decide, you know what, this just isn't working. Let's shift to this other thing. Let's shift to hybrids, whatever it is.
Right.
But the more regulation, the more hands you have in that pot, the more it's going to push something that either could work on its own or is not going to work and is just wasting government money on it.
Yeah, for me, maybe in some time in the distant future.
Brad, I'm sorry, we only had yes or no. You can't go off the board.
Right.
They're not cool. They're not cool.
I disagree. I think they are cool.
So here's the thing. Are you a car person, though?
No, but I don't need to
okay,
be.
So,
Cool.
so here's the thing. Like, an EV is a cool piece of tech to a non-car person. It's cool in the same way that, like, the latest iPhone or the latest Samsung Galaxy is or something like that. It's cool with that. But to a car person, it's a different kind of cool.
Brad just said it's cool for people who aren't cool.
It's cool for people who
That's
aren't
what I
car
heard
people.
too. Yeah, I heard that.
And if you guys understand that if you're not a car person, you're not cool. Well, that's on you, and that's not me. But
Don't hear what I didn't say.
Yeah, there's just something about them that I look at and I'm like, I don't know. It's just not cool. I don't like it. I can't get into them. You can show me the Tesla Model S Roadster and all these other different things out there, and it's like, oh, look at the Model 3 or whatever. It's got the gull wing doors. Not what makes a car cool. It's just. And here's the other thing too. And I was talking to my wife about this on the weekend. Electric cars don't have the front grille on them.
Okay.
And it's like there's just something off about that because you're used to cars having front grills,
right?
And they don't need them. They don't have them. They don't need them. That's well and fair. But to me, it's kind of like seeing a person that doesn't have a belly button. You're looking at it, you're like, what?
I know.
You know?
Whenever we'd see those kids in school, we'd be like, what's up with the lab kid? Doesn't even have a belly button like the rest of us.
So that's the biggest driver for me is they're just not cool. They don't have that. They don't invoke the emotion that I look for when a car does it. I know there's a lot of people out there going, what do you mean the car invokes an emotion? And you can't explain it.
What do you
just
mean
does.
it's like somebody who doesn't have a belly button?
Does that confuse you?
Back on the rails, the poll question is asking, would you consider buying an electric vehicle? I definitely would. I think they are cool. I am not a car girl, but they do interest me. I actually looked at a few Teslas before I bought my new car, but they were not in my price range. But they are cool to me. The only thing that would turn me away from an electric vehicle is if someone tried to force me to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wouldn't want it. But otherwise, if I had to make my own decision, yes, I am interested.
If somebody approached you in a dark alley and they put a knife up your back and said, you're going to buy an electric vehicle right now, you wouldn't do it?
Probably not.
Okay. Somebody trying to force her, she's not going to do it.
I'm a producer. I can't afford it.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I would tell you I wouldn't buy an electric vehicle, but I would lease an electric vehicle. And I make that comparison because the technology is changing so much for that right now that I wouldn't want to be stuck with that because I'm going to guess that the value of that car is going to drop dramatically. If you do a 3-year lease on a car, the battery technology compared to what we have now to what we're going to have in 3 years is going to be night and day.
Well, that battery life and then the cost of replacing a battery, I'm worried about the used market for them as well because of that very thing.
And I would also say that I would buy it for a second car, not my primary. It's kind of like the guys who have a sports car. You have that muscle car or your sports car that you take to the car shows and everything because that's cool. But you only bring it out on really nice days that it's not going to get wet.
It's
so
not too hot,
I would bring those out. How did we end up number-wise on this?
All
By
right.
the way, thanks to everybody who voted and thanks to the 109 people who are still streaming even though Annie's not here.
We have 215 votes on this poll. Would you consider buying an electric vehicle, yes or no? 69% of our audience said no, they would not consider buying an EV. 31% of the people would.
Awesome. I assume we're out in 10 seconds. My name is Mike Elam. Thanks for letting me be a part of your day today. I will be back here on Friday. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks to listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Cause I don't wanna be nobody.
This is a special alert to all Americans